is
What does that have to do with
he immediately shuffled out Nancy Pelosi, immediately shuffled out Mike Pence, immediately shuffled out all of the major people. Why? Because ensuring the security of those people is their priority. Their priority is not.
Okay, hold on.
No one
Gang, just real quick. I'll ask Destiny if this will be helpful to him. I have a man who sent me his credentials. He has experience in counterintelligence and these things. Would that be helpful to have here or not?
He stated that his insider threat awareness challenge is something that is a credited certification. I don't know how
counterintelligence and insider threat awareness and reporting.
Yeah, insider threat awareness is a yearly certification that everybody does.
Okay, and you cited having a TSSCI clearance as something that gave you the ability to talk about secure areas.
Yeah, because I interact with Maglocks doors is why I pointed that out. You
so
asked
do janitors.
Okay,
Again, I'm just here.
I'm not a janitor. I'm not going to point out being a janitor as my experience with
I'm just asking if this is something that would help the conversation or
if you want to have him come in, he can, but there's no reason for him to be in here because every single thing he says that agrees with me, this guy's just going to say he doesn't know what he's talking about. So
okay, fair enough. I'm just here because you guys are still going, and I'm going to milk you for content. So go ahead.
Sure. Just in a couple. So I'm just looking through some of these statements. So when you said that people came into the Capitol building, they were trickling in, but they couldn't get in because of the maglock, you acknowledge now that statement was wrong. The first door was kicked open and it wasn't maglocked, right?
Well, okay. I don't know what that. Hold on, to be clear, I don't know if that was the first door. I've seen a video of them kicking open the door.
It was the first door. You can go back and look at that if you want.
Okay, that's what I'm just saying is I don't know.
Sure. When you said he didn't open the door, he pointed at the door and then he looked at the camera and then he waited for somebody to open it and somebody had to unlock the maglock on it and that you can't just open the door and that's why he failed to do that. All those statements were incorrect, right?
Correct.
Okay. When you said, now I'm curious, you said the entire reason why the AG report is so important is so that we know who that person was. What were you referring to there?
Okay, if that person was, so we're going off of my recollection of a video I saw 4 years ago.
No. You keep saying this. I'm not going off your recollection of the video. I'm going off the impression you had of what needed to be done about it.
Why are you going to ask me a question if you're not going to let me answer? Why are you going to ask me?
I just don't lie about what I said.
Don't try to imply something. I'm going to give you.
Don't lie about what I said. Just don't lie about what I said.
I'm not lying. I'm saying is that look, throughout this conversation, I kept telling you, I'm recollecting an event that took place 4 years ago, and what I remember happened in the video. And then when presented the video, I go, okay, yeah, that doesn't look like what it is.
Then why do you have the impression that this is the entire reason why the AG report is important?
That isn't why the entire reason why the AG report is important.
When you said the entire reason why the AG report is important is so that we know who that person was. You said somebody sympathetic to them opened that door, and whoever did that should be arrested for aiding and abetting the rioters.
Sure, under that interpretation, but that isn't the only reason. It's not the sole reason. I know we like to take. I know people like myself take some flourishes with their language, but if I know I was going to get grilled and fucking deep dive into every word I said, I would have been slightly more careful. I know you're not going to give me that charitability, but I'm just going to say it anyway.
Okay. Well, you should pair your convictions because I said at the begetting of this, on the outset of this, I said, oh, I think you're lying. And you said, no, I'm not. I'm security, blah, blah, blah. And you were lying. You were wrong at every single one of us. Yeah.
Why is it always I have to be lying to you, Destiny?
Because you did not watch this video footage and come to the conclusion you have now. You read these conclusions in a tweet or you got them from a YouTube video.
No. You don't know where I got. I fucking watched this video because it appeared on fucking YouTube of the fucking Capitol being broken in. Everybody was posting this shit everywhere. I don't have to get it from a fucking tweet. Tweet. And I didn't get it from a tweet. I watched it from fucking YouTube compilation of everybody breaking into the fucking Capitol. I know you want it to be where I'm lying because you want to disregard everything and my opinion because you want it to seem like I'm a dishonest actor in your opinion because you need that to be the case.
Okay, so then you came to a completely incorrect and retarded conclusion all on your own?
Oh yes, it just
so happened to be the exact same conclusion that the Proud Boys defense in court was?
No. What? I don't give a shit.
This happened to be in lockstep. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was the Oath Keepers. I think that was also spreading this.
I didn't fucking watch that.
Okay, that's fine. So you came to the absolute wrong conclusion based on watching pretty easy to look at video evidence. We all just watched it. It was pretty simple.
You came to the totally wrong conclusion about the fucking election. What does that mean? It doesn't mean people are lying.
Wrong conclusion about the election? What do you mean? What?
You predicted an entirely wrong outcome for everything.
First of all, number one, even if what you were saying was true, predictions are not the same as looking at something that happened. Number two, I always predicted that it was going to be a close election, so you're not even right on my prediction.
You constantly predicted that you were going to win.
That's not true. You know that, like, why are you so confident?
You were coping the entire night saying that Pennsylvania was a lock-in and that it was going to go Kamala. And that is why XQC bet $700,000 on her that she was going to win. Don't try to lie to me here. People can be wrong with how they do things.
Artemis, I don't think you're a liar. I think you're just really wrong on this.
Yes, I was wrong about recollecting events that happened 4 years ago.
It's not.
Hold on, Quibbles. Just real quick.
It's specifically something.
Hold on, let Dev go. Let Dev go. Hey,
no, wait. In general, can somebody read these logs? What does that say in the general thing under the flock?
Let's see.
XQC, XQC, who's winning? Tell me. I'm putting a bet on Kamala. How safe is that? Probably 80% safe, right? Probably 65% safe is what Destiny says. I don't know about 80%. So 65% safe to bet on Kamala is what your prediction was.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's at 100, but all right.
But why? I didn't say 100. He said to bet on Kamala. I don't care how many.
Betting 65% doesn't mean that he's guaranteed to be a fucking liar because he thought there was a 65% chance and turns out that 35% happened. What are you talking about?
Okay, I could say 51-49. It doesn't fucking it doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, you can throw a number at any. You can throw a percentage number. I don't fucking care. Quibble. You're dumb. I don't need to listen to you.
There's a 2/3 chance that something's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. Does that mean that I'm a liar because I guessed that it was probably going to happen with a 2/3?
Hold on. My statement was people can be wrong based on what they've seen. The statement is from Destiny.
The difference is
I'm a liar for being wrong.
The difference is that saying this for sure happened versus Steven saying, hey, I think there's a 2/3 chance of this happening vaguely if I'm just spitballing here. Those are not the same.
It's actually worse because I have to go off of memory for something that happened 4 years ago.
Well, this is
worse.
Artemis. Well, see, this is what I mean.
You don't have to go off of memory. You could just say,
I did because I wasn't expecting it exactly to have to bring up.
You could say, I'm actually not 100% sure. Let's look at some video and then I'll make a conclusion after I look at the video.
Nobody actually talks like that. I don't know why you're saying that. Nobody
actually. That's not true. We all,
You're not a time. What are you talking about? Destiny, you're a political fucking hack job. I don't care what you think.
You say that, and I have destroyed you. You've gotten destroyed at every single microsecond of this conversation. You've been really. Name one thing I was wrong about. What's one thing I've been incorrect about in this whole conversation? One thing.
Okay, we're gonna go with the specific conversation where you relied on everybody else to dig up the information for you.
I'm literally the one going through everything here. What are you talking about?
No. The issue being is that you asked me about an opinion about a member of seeing a video from 4 years ago. You then try to hold me to an opinion about a video I saw 4 years ago. And then you're now trying to burn me because of that.
It's okay to make you wrong sometimes, Artemis. So you understand.
I did. I've already said that.
Okay,
but the issue is he wants to.
Okay.
The issue is he wants to paint me as a liar, so he doesn't have to do anything with that.
Well, hold on, Artemis.
Wait. Can I hold on? Can I ask a question? You mentioned these Maglocks. Are Maglocks even required to be on skiff doors?
For skiffs, no.
Wait, why are we talking about skiffs?
Why the fuck are you even bringing up anything having to do with skiffs at all?
Because skiffs have 3 different ways of locking. There's magnetic, there's the rotating tumbler lock, and then there's the key code lock. Those are all utilized to lock the door. There's an inner door, outer door skiff sometimes. I'm mentioning them because skiffs have these in them. They don't have to have Maglocks.
Then why did you ever bring up anything having to do with TSSCI or skiffs at all when it is literally nothing to do?
Because it's part of what I've experienced with Maglocks. I'm bringing up my interaction with Maglocks. I don't know why this is not getting through to you. I'm recollecting things I have worked with.
Is it perhaps the case, though, that the Maglocks or whatever security system they have placed at the Capitol might work differently than the ones you're familiar with?
Yes.
Okay. So
it doesn't. So the issue is that Destiny is trying to paint me as just a liar a MAGA cultist. That's all he's trying to do here.
Well,
that is all
he saying things that are wrong.
Really, just being wrong about a specific event, and then the conversation going forward from that event, like asking all the questions that I had interpreted from that event, is I'm going to be wrong because I was wrong about the initial event.
Okay.
So calling me a liar all the time through that doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay. So this is, I guess I'm explaining for the audience now, right? Because obviously you know that you're just lying.
No.
Okay.
You are now here just doing some bullshit.
Yeah.
You always do this with everybody you're trying to disregard.
Yep. Keep saying that. Keep saying that. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No. So this is what you do. This is your game.
Okay. One at a time.
So the issue isn't the fact that you are misrecollecting things. The issue is the impression that's been left with you. If somebody were to say, "Oh, I remember John kicking Jane, and that's why John deserved to get beat the shit out of," and then we go back and we watch the video and we see that John didn't kick Jane, he punched Jane or something, then we're like, "Oh, okay, he missed that fact or whatever." But that doesn't change the underlying conclusion. But if you say John absolutely deserved to get the shit beat out of him, I remember when he hit Jane, and we go back and we look at the video and we find out that it was like Jane that actually like threw a baseball at John, and then everybody went and beat the shit out of him. Well, now I'm curious, how do you have that impression? How were you left with the impression that John deserved to have the shit beat out of him, that the AG report was essential for clarifying who let these people into the building, that somebody needed to be held accountable, that Maglock doors couldn't be opened from the inside? How do you have all these strong impressions when all of the evidence is pointing to the contrary? And I have no idea how you could ever come to any of those conclusions.
Okay. It's really fucking simple. When I have a view of somebody breaking into a Capitol building, and I've been to the Capitol building, I've seen the Maglocks on doors. I understand how Maglocks work. I've been there. I then go, okay, well, the rioters should obviously be fucking charged. I don't know how they got into the building in this way and fashion. It doesn't make sense to me that all of this failures all lined up all at once. I want to see what else could have been the case. I watched
when you went to the Capitol building, did you see the sign?
No, I just walked around the rotunda. Why?
The sign that said that you can. Well, wait. So you went to the physical building because you were so interested how they could have gotten out, and you somehow missed the sign that says "Wait 15 seconds and the door will open."
Well, yeah, because I'm not. Do you think I actively look for signs? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, Jabal and Bowman didn't see the sign.
I'm there to look at the Capitol, like fucking art and stuff. Like, well, not art, but like the architecture and everything else. Like, just noticing the doors have maglocks is like something I'm going to pass by. I'm not looking for a sign.
I thought you said you literally went there to see how they broke in. Wouldn't signage that tells you how to get through doors be important?
What? No. I would have to know that signage was there in the first place to go look for it.
It was right in front of the door. You said you looked at the maglocks on the door.
Not on that specific door. I looked at maglocks in the doors of the
Rotunda door is literally one of the most important entry points of the whole Capitol riots.
Yeah, well,
so you didn't look at those doors at all.
Hold on, is it?
Yes, there's video footage of the Oathbreakers and the Proud Boys moving in and out of this location. Yes, multiple.
I don't care about them. They can be charged. But the issue being is that I'm not focused on that aspect of it.
What were you focused on?
Touring. It's the fucking Capitol. I've been to a lot of the museums.
So then it's not.
So then you went there on a security tour. You just wanted to go look at the artwork.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I'm not. Hold on. What is a security tour?
I
passed by the door. I saw maglocks on them. I go, oh, hey, these are doors of the Capitol building. And I look and see if there's there's maglocks. I don't understand how this is an issue. I don't understand. Like, I'm not going to look for a fucking sign. I'm just looking at the
why would you ever? Then why would you ever cite this as, well, I've been there and I saw this so confidently?
Because I was there and I saw this.
But all of your conclusions stemming from it were wrong.
Hold on.
Well, let me try this. Which conclusion do you think you've made tonight, Artemis, from the conversation that you think was correct?
Correct that the quick reaction forces of the police inside the building didn't try to stemmy the flow of people coming in through the window, which led to more people building up inside the hallways and could force their way.
Because that's not their primary goal. Their primary goal was to protect the people, not make sure that no glass was shattered.
Okay, I don't. Okay, whatever. But yeah, that's my thing. Is that was my primary issue? Is that there was a failure of quick reaction to try to slow down the impeding people coming in.
So do you think they should have like gone to the windows and kind of put their shields up and shield walled it or something? Like,
so the issue is that they their people only had like fucking spray canisters of fucking tear gas. Like when you're dealing with potential rioting, you'll have a lot more people with actual pepper ball guns and stuff like that to push back people trying to break in. I mean, they had them on the outside. I don't know where they went for the inside.
Wasn't there a scene where the officers literally tried to do this and a guy was getting like crushed in a door as they were trying to push the people back?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, there is a video.
Yes, there is actually, and I think I'll post it down in that room.
I don't know.
Dev, you have firms
have
you
to
can
go
stream
off of.
the
big issue is that doesn't. Hold on. To be clear, I don't have a recollection of it, and even then, now that I'm having this issue with the door thing, I have to now assume that my recollection isn't quite right. So now I don't know.
Okay, let's look at I linked a video. Let's look at this.
Okay.
It's 1 minute and 56 seconds. I linked it in the general chat. I'll link it again.
I'm sorry, what timestamp are we looking at this from?
It's 1 minute 56 seconds, so we can watch it real fast.
Watch the whole thing? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute this and I'm gonna listen to it 1x speed. Okay, 1 sec.
Videos age restriction. I gotta take this. Copy link.
Yeah, they're getting rocked. They're getting rocked, Kings. Oh man, I guess I should show it on my stream too. Whatever. You guys, look. I'm just here to make money. Okay, right now I'm not here to help. $10, David Hoodba. Destiny, a central office can control the maglock doors. The reason the sign alarms will sound is a safety override, and the alarm is still alerts indoor security to the attempted opening. Oh man, we're gonna go over this again, aren't we? But yes, both things are probably true.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is after I think the riot police had already shown up. So they should have just done this strategy at every single doorway? You think they could have held?
No. The issue is that it wasn't nearly at every doorway at that point in time. This is like the issue we're having is that when they break into the windows, they could easily have stemmed and stopped it and pulled them back.
But what would have happened as soon as a couple thousand? You understand there were tens of thousands of people here.
Sure.
So maybe they could have arrested a couple, but do you understand how compromised their position would be if they were at the front lines doing this and then like people started to run through and now they have nothing behind them to protect any of the people in the actual building, like the congressman?
But that's the issue. Anyway, the issue being is that the four officers you saw in the video of the guy breaking into the window, instead of charging him and spraying their thing, they ran away. Which I can understand why they would do that.
It had been compromised and falling back to another position where they could hold better. Yes.
Hold on.
That's what you
do. There was one guy who's currently breaking in. There was one guy that could have been stopped.
There wasn't. There were 1,000 people right
outside. Outside, yes. They're not going to all flood through at once.
Can we lay out what this crowd control would look like from your perspective? So there are thousands of people pushing and screaming and all pushing into one direction, right?
Into the window,
in the context, just in the context of Black Friday, right?
Okay.
People die all the time as a result of like Black Friday. People are trying to get into Macy's and shit, right? So if you actually had locked it down there, even if you had managed to do that, which obviously would have been incredibly difficult, but even if you had managed to do that, wouldn't that have resulted in like literally people getting trampled and dying as a result of it? Like many people.
Okay, so the issue being is that statement has nothing to do with the guy at the window. It could apply to other areas.
No, there are thousands of people pushing the guy at the window.
There's not 1,000 people pushing through the guy at the window. I don't know why we're saying that.
At that point, there were people who were pushing and they were like shoving and trying to get into the building. And at that point, managing to like locking down that location, even if you manage to do that,
if you believe 1,000 people are exerting force on that one window, there's no way I can even have this.
Not 1,000 people directly on the window.
Okay,
okay.
What are we talking about? 100
on the window.
Are we talking about 100?
Hold on.
50?
Okay, Artemis.
10? What are we talking here?
Go ahead, Dev.
The question is, from a crowd control perspective, what's your valve? Like, what's your release valve on the pressure that is building on that point?
The point is to rush it, reinforce it, and then have other people grab stuff to.
I'm asking, what's the pressure? What's the release valve? Like, how are you managing to ensure that innocent grandparents are not like trampled as a result of what you're describing?
Or just forget it. Assume like, okay, one person comes through and you arrest them, fine. Second person comes through, you arrest them, fine.
No.
Now
work. That's not how it's going to work. They're going to charge the fucking window. People are going to put stuff in between them and the people outside holding the window. They're not going to keep letting people infinitely come through and infinitely aggress, like you said.
The windows had gotten broke.
It was stuff through. Wait. They're
put stuff in front of the window and barricade it.
They didn't have stuff
they have
there.
Barricade materials for every window now?
They did barricade places later on after they fell back to places where they thought they could hold.
With nothing.
And you saw places where they decided to hold.
Wait, don't do that.
That's what they shot Ashley with that one chick.
Hold up. Wait, you can't say that because they don't have anything in the Capitol building to barricade anything with. That's what is being implied here.
The chamber itself do that. Not barricaded.
Not in
because
that
they don't. They probably
the
don't. I don't think the Capitol built. This is the capital of the United States of America. It's probably not meant to be invaded by 50,000 people. That's not how we build defense in the United States of America. That's not really how it works here.
And you don't barricade after the place is breached. You barricade before it's breached. It had been breached. They had no time to barricade.
I don't know why you guys are making a statement as if I'm not going to agree with that at all. I don't even. You're arguing something I'm not contradicting here.
But
the
your
issue
whole
being
argument is
how
they should
they
have
react?
stopped them there, but there was no way that they could stop them there at that point.
No, there is an easy way to stop them there. They rush it with force. I don't know where they did. I don't know where all the rioting or the riot police with the pepper spray balls and everything else went. Maybe they went to the front door here where they were blocking everything and reinforcing that position. But it's obviously that the other police officers in the Capitol were woefully unprepared for the situation.
Yes, there weren't enough people there. Yes.
We agree. There were 140 people against 50,000. Yes.
Not even. Hold on. Not even. It's not even manpower issue alone, but that is the case. They didn't even have equipment ready for that. The person sprayed a fucking
because they didn't expect this to happen. No one expected that Trump was going to tell them to go towards the Capitol.
Yeah, they didn't have the manpower. Hold on, just real quick, Artemis. They didn't have the manpower to guard that large of a perimeter, so they kept falling back till they got to a perimeter size that they felt that they could defend, right?
Like, there are major protests outside of the Capitol regularly, all the time. But the difference is that the leadership of those protests regularly managed to go through an entirely peaceful afternoon where they have 50,000, 60,000, 100,000 people hanging out in D.C., and they don't manage to just say, hey, let's go invade the Capitol. Obviously, they're not prepared to have a bunch of people invading the Capitol just because there happens to be an event happening outside.
I'm going to ask Destiny this because he's going to agree. Destiny, was the Trump Republicans and the MAGA crowd and the politicians making references to being almost akin to stochastically getting people to go to the Capitol and expect violence?
Was
stochastically or whatever.
I don't know. Wait, what are you asking? Were they
for months? Well, not months, but the December, January, up until January, were they constantly invoking people to go to the rally at the Capitol expecting
For
violence.
at least a couple weeks beforehand, there was going to be a big January 6th event. Yes.
So, do you think the Capitol Police would have possibly understood that there could be violence at the Capitol building because of that?
Yes.
Okay. So my issue being is that there isn't just out of the blue.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I got to correct because I didn't. You're doing the bad faith thing. Yeah. So it wasn't a matter of were they prepared for violence or not. Clearly, they were prepared for violence. The question is, were they prepared for 50,000 people to show up to overwhelm the Capitol? The answer for that is no.
No. But that's the issue, is that Quibbly is asking me how it is that peaceful protest would can be handled with no education. But there were indicators of there going to be possible violence. I don't know why.
But the scale of it's important. Hold on. The scale of it's important. Hold on. Stop, Quibbles, please. Please, my God, Quibbles. I will mute you if I have to. Okay. Here it is, Artemis. The scale of it was unexpected. They were prepared for some violence, but the amount of violence that they had, they did not have the manpower for. They did not have the equipment for. They were caught with their pants down, literally. And so they made the choices they thought were the best in the situation, which involved, again, not trying to make a stand in a place where they could not hold. There was no, we have videos of them using furniture to block the doors on the House floor, right? We have videos of them moving people out of the House, or the politicians out because they didn't know if they could stop this from happening, right?
Okay. And so just be crystal clear before we move on. It's also true that not only were they successful in managing to protect everyone in the Congress, they also were so successful that they managed to get the total death toll significantly lower than the average soccer game in the European Union, right? This was an incredibly good job by them in terms of actually reducing the number of people who died. The way that you're describing, trying to make these chokeholds so that there would have been thousands of people pushing against each other in order to force a door open, that would have made it significantly more deadly of an occurrence, obviously.
I don't know if you could even...
It is delusional not to believe that obviously...
I don't know how those 3 or 4 people...
have there be exit valves for a massive number of thousands of people pushing against each other. If there's no exit valve, obviously more people are going to die. That's just how... This is like a Travis Scott concert. This is just anyone knows this if you've spent more than 15 minutes thinking about how the movement of people functions.
I think you're just coming up with odd things to say that aren't particularly relevant.
No, that is directly what you're describing, is that you want to have there be no exit valve for the people who were pushing to try to get into the Capitol, right? So their job is to, number one priority is for sure to ensure that all the members of Congress are protected successfully.
Okay.
They did that perfectly with 100% success.
I got a question for you.
Their number two priority is to ensure that the people who are trying to get into the Capitol also don't die at mass scale. They did an incredibly good job of both of those things.
Okay, I'm just got to ask. Okay, do you think that if they would have rushed those windows, held it for maybe 30 minutes longer, that all of the people
would have been stampeded? Yeah, I do think that.
Why don't you let me ask the question?
Let him
instead of coming up with some weird shit.
Okay.
Do you think that the people in the Senate chamber and the House would have been able to successfully evacuate more had they held those positions just a little
bit? They already got a perfect evacuation. What are you talking about?
They didn't? What do you mean perfect?
Perfectly.
No, they didn't.
Every single person in Congress was evacuated successfully into a secure location, albeit not all off-site locations, but secure locations of which they have multiple inside the Capitol, because it's the Capitol. It's not all the kinds of parts where you walk around and look at stuff. Right?
You're just saying things now. No, if they had held the doors and the windows for a little bit longer, people could have actually evacuated to the underground tunnels, all of the politicians, instead of just having them stuck in the Senate chamber with nowhere to go.
Just as a quick thing. Hold on, wait. Just as a really quick thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Listen, Quibbles, we fought earlier. Okay, I love fighting with you. Okay, it's fun fighting with you. Okay, Artemis Fowl is doing some insane amounts of crazy making. You keep acting like Quibbles is saying these completely and totally ridiculous things when everything he's saying is perfectly rational. When he's talking about, and
they're
again, if you knew, they're completely relevant because you keep talking about security and riot police. If you knew anything about this, everything he's saying is very obvious, right? You're looking for a pressure release when you're trying to do things with rioters. At night, usually it's just time. That's That's your biggest pressure release. As riots go on, you shoo them down alleys, you shoo them to different areas, and eventually it gets really late, gets to the hours when people get tired and they go home. When you have a mounting situation that's getting more and more chaotic and more people are showing up, the idea of fighting at a window doesn't really make any sense. They obviously don't have the manpower to hold every single external access point like that, or else they probably would.
Okay, so what do you think the Capitol Police believe the targets of the rioters were?
They were literally chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." So
probably the Congress people. Maybe that's going to be probably the priority to protect.
Correct. So the what I would think they would do is prioritize the evacuation of the Congress people, the target of the riot, and try to buy as much time to successfully and fully do that out of the building.
They had a 100%
wait. Why do you tighten a perimeter? Why do you make a perimeter smaller?
It's an obvious question. What are you going towards that?
Because clearly you're not understanding. So I'm curious. Why do you have a tighter perimeter?
Okay. To pull back so you can defend it easier.
Why
we already know this. Keep going. Because you can consolidate manpower and density.
Correct. Yes, manpower and density. It's not as porous. Yes. Why would you assume that the Capitol Police had the manpower to have 10 people ready at every single window that could be a point of access?
You don't need 10 people ready at every
How many do you need?
There was 3 or 4 people there. They could have immobilized. Well, not immobilized.
Did you watch the video that we just watched?
Wait. I'm sorry, because it's such an obvious thing, right? So let's assume that you could do it with 3 or 4 people, which is probably not true. But let's assume you could. Okay. If you have 3 or 4 people at every single access point or at all the potential break-in points at your outer perimeter, what happens if they break through one of those points?
You fall back to the hallway choke.
No, you've lost at that point. It's over. If your outer perimeter gets broken and you've thrown away every single part of your interior to overstaff all of the outer parts of your perimeter, it's over at that point. They could rush your congressman. They could just run
That's
right
why you have
your
reserves.
Totally. The Secret Service, whose job is not to guard the outer perimeter, are just going to sit by and let them just gang rape the fuck out of the politicians. You're right.
The Secret Service. Hold on. There are multiple objectives during riot control. One of the biggest objectives is to minimize how many people are dying. Technically, every SWAT team in the entire United States could stop 100 men could stop 10,000 rioters trivially. But we just don't typically want our police officers to be spraying, AR-15s or
mowing them down in the streets. Yeah.
It has nothing to do. The Secret Service could just stop them, immobilize them, do whatever they need to do.
How can they just wait? Do you know how the Secret Service stopped somebody before when they were breaking in?
Probably shooting.
They did. Yeah, they shot and they killed her. Ashley Babbitt. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Is that what we want? Do we want our outer perimeter to get breached where we've focused all of our people now, and now the Secret Service is just in an open fucking fire fest with protesters running in?
My main issue is that you're setting up an issue where there's no coordination between the Secret Service and the police for a eventuality like that. And I don't agree that is the case. That they
I think there was.
Well, there will be some coordination, but their goals are not necessarily the same. The Secret Service are assigned to particular politicians, and that is their only protective order. That's it. Capitol Police I don't even know if it goes up the same chain of command or if they even have strong coordination between those two groups. I don't believe they do. I feel like I read that in the full J6 report, that there was some, because they were asking, can you help this or whatever? And the Secret Service are like, we're here to protect these people. That's all we do. We don't do anything else.
The politicians. This is why I don't think that they would get to the politicians like that.
Secret Service are not there to fight off crowds.
Yeah, if the Secret Service was
thousands of
if the Secret Service had to fire off into the crowd, that's a fail state. Everyone has failed at their job, and we have
Ashley Babbitt was a fail state. Ashley Babbitt was a failure, right? That was a failure in outer perimeter holding. And you assume that they could have had even more people dedicated to it? They had to shoot and kill somebody.
The issue being is that you're asking me about a failure in the outer perimeter like 10, 20, 30 minutes after the outer perimeter had failed. That's what you're asking me. But the density of actual rioters are so great that they're overpowering the people inside. Where I'm saying is that they
saw them overpowering the people
resolve
outside.
that problem before it got to that density. And then
and that's offered with no evidence, with no reasonable way for that to happen, with absolutely zero. With you being wrong about every single underlying claim you've made about every single part of this.
Yes, that definitely has everything to do. The question about the video has everything to do with how somebody could resolve an issue with the window. Yes, I understand. The guy that was kicking the window open, kicking the door open. That guy would have definitely kicked that door open.
Okay, well, tell me, because I think there was I could be wrong then. I think there was a duty report. There was a Secret Service report that we read.
How are we going to talk about a possibility and being right or wrong about a possibility that didn't take place? You're asking about
no, wait. So now I'm asking you, right? So there were a ton of reports that were written by different government agencies about this. Is there a single mention in any of these that this is what the training should have prepared them for? That they should have ran towards the window with groups of people? A single reference to that anywhere?
So here's the issue. You're asking me this, knowing full well I don't have time for you, like you do, to sit around reading the shit.
So you're making it up. So you just made this up.
What you're asking me about a fucking hypothetical? You're asking me shut the fuck up.
Answer is. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm just gonna ignore you, Quibble, at this point. The issue is you're asking me about a hypothetical, about a report that you have the luxury and time of reading that I now cannot look for.
I'm just curious where you got the opinion from. Then where'd you get this idea that they should have ran towards the window with 3 or 4 people?
Because that's how you plug a gap in a line.
Really? Where? Show me evidence of this. Anywhere. Where have you seen this from? Or where do you get this idea from? Just give me one riot, one situation where 4 officers have ran towards the door and 150 officers were able to hold off 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 people.
I don't know why we're doing this. You keep bringing up 150. You keep doing this.
You're a liar.
Every time.
You keep
watch
too many movies. You have no evidence to support anything. You earlier, you said that I was bad faith, and now you're accusing me of being a research nerd. You said earlier that I didn't do reading on this. I don't know what I'm doing.
My guilty pleasure.
Reading everything. You're saying that I'm making bad faith attacks, and you won't give me a single source for anything you're saying. And for every particular claim you've made, they've all been wrong. They've all been wrong. They've all been lies. I haven't been wrong. I haven't been wrong about a single thing. Even when I asked you how I was wrong, you claimed I was being bad faith. To ask you how I was incorrect about something, you said that was me being bad faith.
Because you're asking me about a hypothetical of an eventuality that didn't.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you about a training procedure that you say everybody should be going through, and I'm curious what the source for that is.
Wick.
Question for you.
What? What was your job in the military again?
I was a cryptolinguist for 3 years, and then 3 years I just worked on planes.
I would have to ask somebody who's been like a fucking MP or something.
No, I wasn't a secfo. I'm not a bullet sponge. Nothing.
Why do you think talking to an MP would help you here?
There's having a fob or a
just so you know, whatever he said his job is, he's fucking lying. He's the lowest.
I don't know why you keep doing this. Bullshit. All you want to do is do these dumbass debate tactics.
He is absolutely lying. Okay, just you know.
You're just being great cringe debate tactic nerd, and you're just getting heated, and you're gonna lie through your fucking teeth because you think you're gonna win. This is all you ever do, Destiny.
Well, when I'm right about everything, it's pretty easy to.
No, it's not really.
Just curious, are there any MPs listening in
I will pull you in. Look, if you are an MP, or hold on, if you've been an MP,
it doesn't have to be an MP. It could
just be someone who worked in security in the military, jump in my backstage right now. I will pull you in.
Hey, Destiny, I'm gonna let you in. What's gonna happen? You're asking somebody who has an audience of 10,000 or whatever, 1,000 people, and all they're going to do is go, yeah, I can just say whatever I need to do. That's all it is. I'm not fucking doing that. He's bullshitting. He's just trying.
Rick, remember earlier when I told you that it wouldn't matter who you brought in because the reason why is because if they agreed with me, he would write them off. That's what he just did. You see how I predicted that?
No.
I know that.
I'm sorry,
Artemis.
It's such an obvious thing that would happen. Why the fuck wouldn't I point it out?
God, I'm so fucking.
I know you're. I know. Oh my God!
I write the whole script for you guys.
I got a guy who isn't part of it. Does it? Hold on. Is it okay if they're not from Destiny's community? Would you trust that?
No, because I can't. Like, how am I supposed to prove that?
Well, if someone who's watched my stream a lot, been in my stream a lot, I know that
this might be the guy that opened the Maglocks. You can't trust this dude.
Like, I know a lot of people who don't like Destiny. I know a lot of people who don't like Destiny. If I can get one of them to come on, will you trust that?
Nothing he's saying.
We need to have proof that this person actively hates Steven. Until we have proof that this person actively hates Steven,
I don't know if
it's a completely unrelated thing that has nothing to do with it.
The issue is it doesn't matter because plugging a hole in a line is so fucking simple of a concept that anybody should be able to get it if they're not bad faith.
It's about, hold on, Artemis, though, it's about risk and reward. If you know you have a very thin line and you know if you fail to plug it and they breach it, it's game over, then you do what is less risky and you fall back to an easier place where you have a better percentage chance of actually holding the line, actually plugging the gap. You have to make these decisions in real time. They may not have always made the right decisions in these cases, but when you have a situation where you have thousands of people yelling, screaming, trying to break in, you make decisions. They thought, for whatever reason, that they could not hold it there. It looks like from the video that it would have been a bad idea to try to hold it there. So the trained people on the scene, on the ground, who were putting themselves at risk, made the decision to fall back to an easier defensible position. I do not fault them for that, and I don't know why you do.
I'm saying what I would have if I would have been in that position. That's what I would have done. So the issue, I would even make it easier for you. There could have been communication issues across the board because everybody's screaming because there's rioters. There's arguments. There's screaming across the radio at every level, and it would be impossible to get fucking reinforcements to that area to help. That would be an easier argument.
I have a question. Before we move forward, I have a question. Had they managed to stop anyone from getting into the Capitol, but a dozen people died, would that have been a better or worse result than what did happen?
It probably been a worse result. The issue being is that I would say that the buying a little bit more time to evacuate the target of animosity from an area, buying a little bit more time and then backing up and letting it through.
But they were able to get everyone into a secure situation by hunkering down in the Capitol with everyone except for the major people. Like Pence was already out, Pelosi was already out, and the few people who weren't the people who weren't out were
how about this?
Just like normal Congress people.
How about this?
They
Artemis
also were being defended, right?
Artemis, here's what I'm going to offer to you. Okay, Artemis, take all the time you need. Find someone that you think.
I don't need to do this. It's irrelevant to the point I was making. That plugging a hole in a line is quintessentially easy for law enforcement. It's not a question that this is done all the time. Saying whether or not it was.
Stop saying it's done all the time. You have no examples, so don't say that. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. That was a lie. Lie alert.
You're just being debate mode. You're gonna lie through your fucking teeth. I don't care.
You're lying. You just said
you're lying. You're lying through your fucking teeth.
Wait. How's it lying when you said this happens all the time?
You're telling me I'm lying right now.
Yes, I did. You are lying.
You're lying because you're fucking lying. That you tell me I'm lying. I'm saying it's infinitely easy to understand that if you have a hole in a line, you try to plug it with manpower. That's not a thing I need to go grab externally for. It's an obvious.
Oh, now it's common sense.
I think they actually should have started 140 miles around it so that each had a mile of perimeter. That
anyways,
we don't just do that at the border. That's the border policy. We just need to plug the hole. We just need to put like 5 agents at every hole, and now we have no more legal immigrants.
Yeah, definitely.
Plug and hole
all the time. It happens all the time.
You know what? Maybe they should build like a wall that way they don't need to do that.
Oh, it didn't work for the Capitol building.
Maybe they should start
the Capitol had
weak points of entry.
Didn't the Capitol have walls?
Plug that hole whenever they try to get through that weak point of entry.
Didn't they scale walls?
Didn't they climb over them for the Capitol?
Yeah. They climb over walls?
Oh, we need Maglocks at the border.
This is all they're doing. All they're doing is arguing, trying to misrepresent it. That's all they're trying to
do. Someone change your name in Discord to Maglock Expert.
Yeah, sure.
Wait, hold on, Dev. Have I been wrong about a single thing that I've said?
Yes.
I don't think so. As far as I can tell.
Because he's accusing me of not holding a position I actually hold.
Wait, which position did I accuse you of holding that you don't actually hold?
You said I don't work for the government.
Yeah, you did say he was lying about his job.
He's a fucking liar.
Right. Yes.
Accusations. Okay, you're right. Okay, so besides my personal, and we can't prove one way or another. So besides my personal accusation that he's lying about his job, okay, have I lied about anything, or have I been wrong about anything that I confronted him on?
I don't think so. No, from what I can tell.
Because all you're doing is you're asking me an opinion. And then you're going through and digging up information.
Oh, you want to ask me my opinion on any of this? Want to ask me my opinion on any of this? Any part of it? And we'll see if I fuck up.
There's one thing. There was one thing you were wrong. They did, in fact, smoke bomb themselves that one time. That was true.
Sure. No, I'm sure they did. I know there's video footage. But there's also footage of the protesters spray macing the cops. And I don't think they lost their position outside just because. I haven't seen video footage of that. But that was the first time that that third barricade or perimeter was broken was just because of that.
You want to keep going? I'm all here.
Well, I am kind of curious, Artemis.
How do I keep going?
Hold on, let Dev go, please. I want to hear what Dev says.
So the window's broken open, and you say they should plug the hole. Like, what do? Do they shove their shields up against it? Do they jump into the hole? Do they like bring some furniture from the offices? Like, what do they do?
Obviously, the person. But one, it seems like they weren't like properly equipped to handle a situation like that. Because they had the spray canister for pepper spray, but it doesn't look like any of the other ones people tried to help. All they did was run away while the other person was spraying them.
Wait, why are you saying they ran away? You mean that they withdrew to a tighter perimeter, right?
True.
You could say that there's a.
That's different. That's very different.
You describe this. You can describe it all you want. That's what they did.
So hold on.
Running away and tightening a perimeter. That's the same thing.
Okay, we can just do. They strategically retreated to a perimeter. How about that?
There you go. That's fine. Sure.
Okay, that's it. It doesn't change the action at the window.
Okay, so you think that they should not have retreated to a perimeter further back? You think they should have held their ground there?
Yeah, because the first guy was pepper sprayed in the face, and he was basically taken out of the interaction. While the second guy was still moving through the window, they should have plugged it and sprayed that guy too, and then sprayed anybody at that window.
Okay, but another thing that Quibbles brought up is that if they had done that might have led to more deaths outside because of the trampling. So like,
they can't trample if they're already up against the wall. I mean, you could say that they just crush in and kill everybody.
That's literally what trample is. What are you talking about?
Hold up.
That's literally what trample is.
You're just screaming now. You're just fucking screaming it. It doesn't. Okay, so why weren't there hundreds of deaths? Hold on, why weren't there hundreds of deaths everywhere else?
Continuing in a direction?
Why weren't there hundreds of deaths all across the fucking perimeter of the Capitol?
Because they broke in through all across the perimeter of the Capitol.
On slowly allowing release valves.
And people broke in all over the Capitol. What do you mean?
There were multiple points of failure.
There were multiple points.
Release valves weren't
weren't they crushed? Why weren't they crushed up against the window before the guys were breaking them with their crowbars or whatever?
Because they had release valves. Because they were like
what release? How is they?
Hold on. At the very beginning, because people weren't that active at that beginning area. There were just people initially breaking in.
The issue with the release valve idea is that the rioters in those centralized locations have to be omniscient and know that there's other access points that have already been broken into.
Wait, say it again?
They would have to have known other parts of the Capitol were already broke. The rioters. Who the fuck else are we talking about?
There's two groups of people, so it could have been either one. Okay, the rioters didn't know what when?
So the rioters up against the next to the window, before they broke the fucking window and got in, why weren't they crushed up against the window? Your answer was because there was a release valve.
How long had they? Hold
on. You said that they had release valves in other locations.
Hold on, no. He's wrong when he said that. Wait, Quibble shouldn't have said that. No, wait. Those are the first people that got there. They got there and they immediately started breaking
it. They had gotten there like less than 20 seconds prior to breaking the window. I'm pretty sure it had been very, very short period of time.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna allow that to stand instead of just asking you to prove that. I'm just gonna let it stand. So sure, if that's the case, the issue is that there's hundreds of windows, and I'm sure not all of them are broken.
Go ahead.
But they did break multiple windows. Also, hold on. Okay, can we? I'm posting another video. Okay, this is the third line being broken. Okay.
Okay.
Where you're saying this in general again, I assume, right?
Yeah. Can you tell me? I'm sorry, actually, my timestamp is bad. Just go back to like 1522. Here.
1522?
I linked a new thing, okay? And then just start watching at 1x speed. Just watch for like a minute. And tell me at what point did the line fail here? This is the final one because they gassed themselves. I just want to see. Tell me when.
They just got pushed down. Like, they literally just got ran
over. What time frame you said? What was the time frame?
Broke.
I think it was 1540, right?
It's timestamped in my link.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is there a Canadian flag in there? What the hell?
People are dumb.
Dev, where were you on January 6th?
Don't worry about it.
If the line broke, so they, again, retreated, reformed, or tried to, at least.
Let me go find the actual thing.
Which part of this was them just gassing themselves, and that's why they lost the?
You're gonna pull a video from something I don't recognize, so now I have to go find an actual video for which I derived my opinion from.
What do you mean actual video? Is that not actual video?
No, because I watched police body cam footage of the guy saying we gotta fall back. We're tear gassing ourselves.
He saw a tweet or he saw a YouTube video as part of like another like far right conservative thing
where
he says,
I guess.
No, you did. That's what you saw. You weren't. Yeah, because how are you unfamiliar with all of these things? How could you be unfamiliar with all of these parts of the event? And you've only seen like this hyper selective like amount of footage, just because you've been watching other media sources feed it to you. You haven't looked at any of this yourself.
Because I think that all of the rioters should have been prosecuted. That's why I didn't care too much to look into it.
It doesn't matter if you think they should have been prosecuted. You have no idea what actually happened
on January 6th.
Because your opinions and ideas about all of it are completely fucking incorrect.
You brought it up.
Hold on, what?
I'm pretty sure I brought it up actually.
Yeah. This okay. I'm gonna keep ignoring quibbles.
I thought it was.
No. So hold on. There was another video that I've seen. This wasn't the video, but there was a video where they had tear gassed themselves. But I don't believe that was the reason that the third line fell. I think it was just like a thing that happened, and it was like it wasn't a big deal, you know.
Okay, so again, I'm running off of things I've seen, on a topic that I mostly agreed that people should have been prosecuted for, and thinking January 6th for the rioters should be prosecuted. That is the end point of my caring about the topic. You're expecting me to then go in and deep dive as much apparently as you think everybody needs to, which is an objective.
I don't think everyone needs to. I think
that's the issue here. Is that I don't have perfect fucking knowledge, and we're god of gapping this fucking conversation.
I don't have strong takes on every single topic. Right? That's perfectly legitimate to not have strong takes on every single topic. The difference is I didn't come into this with a strong position on it. You did, right?
No, you've come in, you're here for the conversation because you want to get laughs and giggles. That's all you're here for this conversation for.
No, I didn't come in making a strong claim. You did come in making a strong claim. Turns out your strong claim was incorrect.
Hold on. The conversation I came in on was talking about Hunter Biden's fucking shit. I didn't start this conversation with talking about Jan 6 and the other shit. We were talking about Fruit of the Poisonous Tree and the issues with the Jan 6 committee.
That is where it started.
Wait. Do you see how when you went back to Hunter Biden there, do you see how that's actually the smart thing to do? You tactically retreated from all of the holes in your argument.
I don't need to do that.
And now you're trying to run all the way back to your most defensive point.
No, I don't need to do that. I'm explaining where this came from. We can sit on this fucking conversation all night at this specific point. I don't care. I'm explaining that Quibbles is wrong about this. All we've done is chase down our fucking. No. Hold on. Let me talk. All we're doing is running down a line of dialogue until we find a specific topic that I don't know as much about, and then jamming everything into it. That is all you've been doing this entire time.
I just asked you broadly. We're talking about this because I asked you broadly what you disagreed about the J6 Commission because you had so many horrible things to say about how it started.
You wanted to jail someone. Weren't you earlier saying you wanted to jail a member of the Capitol Guard?
Or whoever was involved in letting the protesters through the Maglocks.
That's a pretty hardcore statement to say, given that there's been plenty of research into this, including by Congress itself, and none of them came to that conclusion. It is only you who are coming to that conclusion. That's a very strange conclusion.
What's the most important thing? You said we need the AG report. What was the important thing that we need the AG report for? What AG report?
So I don't have to care about people when they say that, there were feds in the crowd. So I can just ignore that conversation at that point.
Wait, what credible people have said that?
Why are we adding credible people into that statement? Why is that?
Because that's how investigations work. What do you think a standard of evidence is?
No. So this is the issue. When I say I want to look at
something credible. That was actually the best statement we made all
No. Why would I care what people Hold on. That wasn't the fucking question okay. My statement was I can just ignore people when they talk about it. And you go, what credible people are talking about that? I'm not talking about the fucking witnesses. I'm talking about people asking or bringing up the conversation. And now you're giggling as if I said something I didn't. Because
I'm asking, what is the AG report for? And you're saying, so we need the AG report to disprove random tweets?
Why does it always go back to tweets with you?
Well, because you said it's not anybody credible. Random people in the crowd.
I have people on. I fucking talk to literally everybody. I don't know why tweets are necessary for this.
Then what are we waiting for the AG report for?
I am. What is we? You asked.
Why are you waiting for an AG
why
report?
Are you
Which AG? Who are you even talking about?
To be clear, you're not waiting on anything because you've
wait, don't bail him out. What AG
Let him
report?
answer.
Who are you even talking about? What do we?
So there was the AG report about the fucking amount of informants and or human source contact or whatever else it was at the Capitol at that time. Because so many people have hung their hats on that being the reason the rioting started, I'm waiting for that to come out so that way we can finally put that to bed. Really?
Have you seen any credible evidence anywhere that suggests that it started because of informants or federal informants? Any videos, any articles, anything whatsoever, anywhere?
Okay, so I don't need. So we're asking about my opinion of what I've seen.
I haven't seen hardly anything of that.
I haven't seen anything of that.
So if you have an expectation for the Department of Justice to publish something, that has to be in response to evidence, not just baseless claims, right?
The Department of Justice is saying they're waiting for the approval of the AG to release this report. That is all I've said. I'm not expecting anything from it outside of disproving or whatever it's saying.
I don't know. I don't think this report is real. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think this is actually.
Also,
just because Destiny hasn't heard of it doesn't mean it's okay.
Oh, link it to me then. Link it. Show me. Wait. I might be wrong. Link it. Show me. I'm opening it.
So hold on. Is his name Kash Patel? Whatever his name is, I don't know how to pronounce it.
No, it's just an AG report from some maybe a speculator.
No, I know. But the guy who's tapped to be coming in has said that he will release the report you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's the FBI.
But that could just be him blowing smoke up your ass. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the crystal clear. You're not waiting on anything because you've already announced that you want to see people thrown in jail from Capitol Police.
Hold up.
That was the outset of this conversation.
Hold up. You keep going back to this as if I haven't changed my opinion on the video.
Okay.
So why do you keep relying on that? Why do you keep going back to that? Stop that.
Because you haven't said. So I want to hear you.
You were there when we were talking about that when Destiny was off doing whatever else he was doing. You were there when we already said, I agree we've already agreed to this. All you're doing is bringing this back up because you're just doing it for the fucking camera at this point.
No, I'm not.
Then why don't you remember that we had that conversation? You were there. You were the one asking me about it. Dev was there too.
Wait, which part?
Asking me if I still believe the video.
I tried to end this thing like 2 hours ago, gang.
Not when the video was.
If I don't agree,
why would that make money when I?
Hold on. If I don't remember,
do you still believe? Do you still believe that there are any members of the Capitol Police who belong in jail as a result of their conduct on Jan 6?
The only people I can even think of are their conduct. No. The actions that took place after.
That was the start of the Jan 6 conversation, right?
No, it wasn't.
The beginning of the Jan 6 component of this conversation.
No, it wasn't.
You claimed that.
No, the start of the Jan 6 conversation was about
Gecko,
Liz Cheney having
nothing is to be
communications with,
but they can't stop themselves. And
or
as
whatever
long as
the fuck her
people
name
are
was.
why not me, right?
I don't know what you're trying to do here. So no, I don't believe the non-existent fucking Capitol person that let them in deserves punishment. No, I don't know why we keep rotating back.
So everyone did the best that they possibly could in
I don't know
the circumstances.
That is additional information. I don't
can I ask you, Artemis? Right? What do we need to do to kind of change your mind on this? Right? Because I think it's pretty clear you're wrong, right?
The issue being is that I don't look at it as I don't have an opinion on the Capitol thing. The issue being is that for people to move on past it, there are certain things that need to be coming out so that the American people themselves can move the fuck on from it. One of them being that confidential report or whatever it is that Kash Patel wants to release that's sitting on Garland's desk.
Okay, so you need the Garland's
more clarity, more sunlight is always better to remove fucking
Don't we have this thing recorded from like
just to be clear also for everybody paying attention to this far, because we've watched him walk back like 50 million times, that report wouldn't satisfy you. You would say they're lying, you would say it doesn't matter, you say it literally
I know.
Don't we already have this from every single angle? By literally thousands of different people who were all recording this on their phones?
Yep. We do.
So Artemis,
It's so funny. Also, wait, real quick. Earlier, it's really funny too, and I noticed these because it's just funny. Earlier, remember, he was making the argument that what an absolute and utter failure of preparation for the Capitol Police when we knew for weeks ahead of time that there were going to be tens of thousands of people here that were going to start something. And now he's saying, well, actually, it was started by the feds that were at the area.
I didn't say that.
Did people know weeks ahead of time that the feds were going to start it, or did they
just
like,
making shit up now?
You're making shit up of it.
You're just making shit up now. I never said that. I don't know why
you said that.
This is another one. You're now making shit up.
So Artemis, you've made the claim to me that the January 6th committee, all the evidence has to be thrown out because of various, procedural problems with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree with those problems, obviously, because we talked about.
If there's procedural problems if the procedural problems that were removed and had been followed correctly, well, not correctly, but to a more balanced way of how they were going about it, like because there's no defense when doing in a committee, like an opposing research thing, or I can't remember what it's called, but basically there's only one side to that investigation, and it should have been handled differently. There should have been some more balance to it.
I mean, there were three open seats.
The Republicans very specifically, don't ever let him get away with this. The Republicans withdrew their support from that just so that people like him could make that statement. Just so you know.
No, that's just bullshit mind reading. I don't care.
Really? Hold on, wait.
Yes, it's bullshit mind reading. It's all bullshit mind reading.
Pelosi approved 3 of 5 people and asked for 2 others from McCarthy, right? She did, right?
And then McCarthy understood that it wasn't going to be a actual thing, so he withdrew. Because there's no point of having a corrupt process and trying to give some legitimacy to it.
Yeah, but you can't prove a single conclusion or research part that was
I understand that. You're just going to try to paint
hold on, Artemis. I mean, the claim is that because pro-Trump people wouldn't be able to be on it because Troy Nehls is pro-Trump and he was allowed on it.
No, we've already had this conversation before, Dev. Jim Jordan is the most well-known and well-trusted person for the conservative side. If he was on there, whatever like conclusion they would have derived would have been far more believable.
Bullshit.
Okay.
So just hold on a second. So
McCarthy was also really loved by Republicans at one point in time. I don't know if you remember that, but
Jim Banks and Jim Jordan, they were both supposed to be on it. They were refused, and your argument is that there could have been no one else that they could have chosen that would have been able to get the job done.
Do you know those two? Do you know of any other people that would have rose to that prominence at that time?
That weren't in the December 21st meeting? Probably not, because
that's what I'm saying.
Well, because they're all corrupt. That's why they're at the meeting, man.
Okay, so here's my that's okay. So we could say that they were at that meeting. The problem is, if you want people to lend some legitimacy to the Jan 6 committee, those are some type of things you have to acquiesce with. Because now you just have the entire thing where everything is going to get thrown out, everything is going to get undone, and the American people don't trust it in any way, shape, or form.
No, you actually don't have to let the people that are accused of crimes be the ones that are investigating them. So you really don't have to do that, but you know.
No, wait. Hold on. Isn't Dan Crenshaw like a popular House Republican?
No, I don't know.
Not enough for this argument. No,
not enough
because he wasn't at the December 21st meeting.
Never good enough. It's never enough.
Definitely. This is all you do. Is you just
Artemis. I don't want to gang up on you, buddy, but you and I have had this conversation before, and I'm curious. What is your basis for establishing Jim Jordan's popularity, assuming that that's the predicate for who should participate in the January 6th investigation?
It used to be Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy used to be a huge proponent for not combative, but
let him fight.
Yeah, no, I know who Trey Gowdy is. But
yeah, he's actively contesting the.
I understand. I understand, but you just appealed to Jim Jordan's popularity. My question is, what's your basis for that?
He's the next runner-up that everybody knows about.
According to what?
To his popularity. That's the. I don't know where else to go off of or tell you.
How do you establish his popularity? Was it a poll? What was it? Your feelings?
Do I need to have a? I don't know how we're supposed to do that. I don't understand that. Everything is going to be feelings by how people talk to him.
So I want to make.
Was he ever? Jim Jordan was never. I could be wrong. Was he? He wasn't like a House Majority Leader or anything, right? He never.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, wait. So what is this idea? Where does this come from? He was never like running for president and was like runner up to Trump, right?
No, the issue being is that he's been the most strident defender of Trump and all the other stuff. making him the most popular, having him on a process, even if he was at that meeting, would have gained some legitimacy.
Yeah, but you're making an unsubstantiated.
It's always going to be unsubstantiated. I'm not going to use. I'm not going to be acquiesce that.
It's not. Well, the issue is that this is such a strong claim for you that you can discredit the entire J6 commission based on the fact that he wasn't allowed on. So it's kind of weird.
I don't have to. The entirety of the United States, not entirety, the entirety of the Republican Party dissuaded it because of that point.
No, they dissuaded it because they don't like the conclusions.
That was the initial jettison of the J6 committee being invalidated.
No, listen.
We can try to ignore
Kevin McCarthy didn't appeal to Jim Jordan's popularity for the reason that he withdrew all the names. He was pissed that he didn't get the names he wanted. And by the way, Speaker Pelosi wasn't obligated either by norms or by any sort of congressional law or congressional rule to give Kevin McCarthy the specific names he wanted. She had a very good reason to deny Jim Jordan and Jim Banks. And she said that of all the hundreds of other Republican congressmen who were devoutly loyal to Donald Trump, including Matt Gaetz, by the way, there were other people that he could have picked. And McCarthy refused. That's on McCarthy. That's not on Pelosi. And again, you appealing to Jim Jordan's popularity without being able to substantiate it is ridiculous.
I'm not going to acknowledge a fucking argument like that from people who are fundamentally anti-Republican and MAGA stuff. I can't acknowledge that argument because you're not objective fucking people. I'm not going to acknowledge that argument.
To be clear, you can say they're not objective people. Hold on. Wait. You just said you're not objective right after saying that there was absolutely no objective or concrete way to justify your feeling about Jim Jordan. You're on an island, my friend.
Hold on. Why? Okay. If there's no way people can be objective about this statement, because there's not, it's entirely opinion based off of the popularity of a person. Why would I acquiesce to an argument that is laid out as if it's an objective statement?
Here's a question. If there's going to be a massive investigation into things that might involve people in your party, why wouldn't you want 5 members of your choosing? If 2 get knocked out, but the other 3 are there, why wouldn't you just choose 2 other people and be a part of that investigatory process?
Oh, because then you're lending credence to a process you don't trust. I don't know why. I've already said this before.
Oh my God! Wait. That's fine. I'm happy with that, and I'm glad that you said that. You are exactly right. He did not want to lend any credence to it, and he wanted to completely totally delegitimize it from the very beginning. You said it. I'm good. That's it. That's all I needed to hear. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear.
Having Jim Jordan there would have let it.
You wanted to delegitimize the entire process, and that's why you're repeating it. So you're honest about it. Thank you.
All you're here to do is just to run roughshod. No, he wanted to lend credence to the fucking process by having Jim Jordan on there.
What is so unique to Jim Jordan, which would give the process credence that 100?
Because the American people trust him more.
According to whom, Artemis? According to whom?
Okay, again, you're trying to ask for a fucking institutional
You know
answer.
why? You know what?
You're making a strong claim. You're making the claim that Republicans can pull their entire support from arguably one of the most important and extensive investigations in recent U.S. history, that all of that should fall apart because Jim Jordan is not allowed on? Does he have a background in investigations? Does he have a background in prosecution? Is he a former attorney general, a former FBI department head, a former anything? Why is he so important that if he specifically is not allowed on this investigation, the whole thing loses credibility?
Because that's what happened. It lost all of its credibility. That's why nobody acknowledged it. That's why people are fine with them pardoning.
Does Jim Jordan participate in every activity in the House?
He's the head of the judiciary.
That's great. But that's not an answer.
But that's the point. Is that the J6 relies on all that?
I understand. Does he participate in every congressional activity?
No.
But isn't by implication your argument that anything that doesn't have Jim Jordan on it is illegitimate?
Yep. No, the greatest, like Jesse said, the most influential investigation in fucking history probably should have the most trusted person from the Republican Party on it.
How do you think the Democrats would have felt if people who were directly implicated potentially in Trump's scheme? How do you think that the Democrats would have felt if he was now a big part of the committee and if he was obstructing things?
They would have been ecstatic because they could just go, "Hey, we're going to subpoena you," and then they could have it on fucking publicity. I mean,
we were going to threaten to subpoena people? You mean we were going to threaten to You mean we were going to threaten to subpoena people that Donald Trump had already given pardons to for ignoring prior subpoenas? That was the plan?
I don't know why you're saying that as if that's an abnormal thing, because that's what every administration does.
Every administration grants pardons to people that are helping them commit crimes in office? Name 2 other times that's happened, or 1 other time that's happened. What are we talking about?
Obama, AG, Eric Holder, avoiding subpoenas. and being in contempt of Congress. This has happened several times.
Okay, wait. If I go and read about this right now, are you going to be completely and totally fucking wrong like you were about every other thing you said? And you're going to say, well, how am I supposed to remember the exact details of these particular things? Is that what's going to happen if I look this up?
Let me just pull it up myself.
From www.thefederalistrightwing.com.
Yeah, maybe if we had released the January 6th video, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd have all the answers.
Listen, it's still working. And trust me, this guy, I don't think I've talked about any of the things in that video that we've talked about up here. So I don't even know if it would have been good enough for him. I don't have a whole
I've released mine at least.
Correction. Oh, yeah. Otaku's got it. Or I don't know, Dev, or what do you go, SFO or Dev or what?
Dev, it's Dev.
Dev, have you talked about all these things that came up today in your video, with these part of it? Why didn't they just plug the perimeter? And what about the Maglock doors? Did you go over the Maglock doors?
Nope.
Did you go over it? Okay, yeah. See, there's too many.
That was going to be the next part.
Part two. Okay,
I was doing a trilogy of it.
I mean, you should make one now. Maglocks. Right? How do they work? Let's find out. Deep dives.
So, I do have a question for you, Artemis, if you don't mind. Are you looking for stuff?
I'm fine. You can ask what you want. I'm trying to find the end point of the Fast and Furious thing where Eric Holder was in contempt of Congress forever, and then Obama let him off.
Okay, so you said that because the two gyms were discarded, the Republicans no longer trusted the process, right?
Yep, but they, rightly or wrongly, I'm going to say wrongly, but that's the issue, is that popular sentiment at the time was that they wanted him on there.
Oh, so you agree that it was wait, just to be clear, I'm sorry, before Dev, I know you want to take over, but just so you don't even buy that argument.
No, not particularly.
Oh, okay.
But the American people at the time wanted him on there to be able to trust it even slightly.
According to who?
Well, because we've seen the fallout of it.
How do you know the fallout is because Jim Jordan was on it? Just because people like you don't like the conclusion?
I don't care about the conclusion.
So wait a second. So are you saying that if Jim Jordan was allowed on the committee, then people would have trusted it, and then they would have trusted the evidence of it, and then they would have trusted the conclusions from it, and then maybe Trump would have lost?
The argument, no, that's like Destiny said. There's a lot of issues with the
right. Yeah.
There's multi-factor.
In the ethics case against like Santos or Gates, should Santos or Gates be a part of the ethics committee against Santos or Gates?
Should Hunter Biden be the vice chair of
I don't know about that. So here's the issue, right?
The people
hold on.
Answer my question.
No, but I'm about to. So the issue being is that we view things as guilty until proven innocent. So you're asking to remove somebody from it.
Not on the jury until proven guilty.
So you mean okay? So you mean the ethics subcommittee for an investigation is what you mean?
Yeah, I'm asking for the investigation.
I don't know about that.
Should Gates be on that subcommittee?
I don't think that would have been a national crisis level thing. So no, probably not.
Okay, so why, as a category, should Gates not be able to investigate Gates, but the gyms can investigate the gyms?
It's not about whether or not he can investigate himself, because they can. The majority chair of the committee can just override whatever he does. It's more about the fact is that
no, wait, that's not true.
What?
I'm sorry, Artemis, but that's not true. No, how the congressional committees work is that as long as 1/3 of the total sitting chairs agree, then they can subpoena someone.
Also, if they start ignoring things he says, people are going to say, oh, look, see, now you'd be arguing, well, look, now it's not credible because they're just like trying to ignore what Jim Jordan's trying to do. You're going to say, oh, well, he's blocking things. And so now we know that
you're ascribing a position I don't hold. I'm just going to ignore that.
Well, because we're in an unfalsifiable hypothetical world where we can't prove or disprove anything. So
yeah, sure, probably. I don't know. Whatever you need to feel better.
Whatever you need to feel better.
So looking at this Eric Holder stuff, so Eric Holder was never even charged with a crime. So I don't know why
they declined to bring charges after. Yeah, he's held in contempt, and they declined to bring charges, which is different than a pardon. The closest thing would probably be H.W. Bush pardoning the Iran-Contra people after Reagan.
That definitely that's another one. Yeah,
that's the closest thing to the criminal co-conspirators.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, they just refused to charge him, so they wouldn't even gotten to that process.
Are we done?
Same one with A.G. Garland at the moment, where he's being held in contempt of Congress and not being charged by.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Yeah, but
not
that's
being charged
ridiculous.
By who? Real quick, not being charged by who?
His own DOJ.
Yeah,
you mean himself,
Garland,
right?
Yeah, so President Biden claimed executive privilege, and right now Congress would have to take that to court to have it litigated. So
you can't claim executive privilege over matters like that.
Over matters like what?
They
anything that,
I mean, they do. Like,
wait. Over matters like what? I want to hear the answer. Don't save him. Over matters like what?
I'm pretty sure you cannot claim executive privilege over material that would make you look bad. I think it's one of the ones. Hold on. Stop freaking
privilege.
out.
What? Sorry,
let him go, please.
I think there's criteria that was laid out about executive privilege because it's not an actual core power thing, and that there's an actual process to it.
What? You said core power, like that's a real thing. Just to be clear, there's no such thing as core power. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, whatever you want.
That is precisely what executive privilege is for. Number one. Number two, no, you're right. It's not a constitutional power, but it's a standing tradition for decades. And number three, there's a remedy. If President Biden claims executive privilege and Congress disagrees with the executive privilege assertion, you take the president to court, and then a court decides. That hasn't happened. So even if you want Merrick Garland held in contempt and you want the DOJ to prosecute its own attorney general, there's no basis for that now. You'd have a point if a court of jurisdiction said this is an invalid claim of executive privilege, but that's not what's happened.
Yeah, there's the history of executive privilege being one, military matters and diplomatic secrets and foreign affairs, information made confidential by statute, 3, information relating to a pending litigation and investigative files and reports.
Wait, real quick. For what you're reading, just real quick, I'm just curious. Can you just screenshot exactly what you're reading and put it in general chat? I just want to see if you're reading from ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. For sure, ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yo, if Brian Tyler Cohen wants in, he can get in on this, by the way. Just FYI. Okay.
Yeah, I don't use ChatGPT.
Do you use Claude?
What's that?
It's Rob Noor's proprietary ChatGPT clone.
Yeah, I no idea. I'm just pulling stuff from the Legal Institute, Cornell University. It has other United States court cases where it derives its opinion from. I think it's highlighted.
I mean the nifty thing about executive privilege is it's a kind of gray area where we don't really know yet what it fully applies to.
Which is why
we know it doesn't apply to. Yes, exactly.
Well, but there's overview for it, right?
Yeah, there's a process for it, and which is why when they asked for that, because it wasn't under pending litigation and that the case had already been closed by not recommending charges, it didn't qualify for executive privilege anymore.
What didn't? What?
The whatever the thing that Biden was that you guys brought up.
Eric Holder's or what?
No, somebody said something about Biden. That's right.
Yes.
What executive privilege wouldn't qualify if?
Yeah. The thing that Congress was asking for, the Heard tapes or whatever the fuck it was, and that AG Barr was held in contempt for, and then citing executive privilege. The problem is that executive privilege does not apply to that scenario.
According to who?
Okay, we just look at the link and how this is how they citing multiple cases and how this was established.
Okay, presidents have more than once had occasion to stand in a protective relation to their subordinates, assuming their defense in litigation brought against them or pressing litigation on their behalf, refusing a congressional call for papers which might be used in their absence from the seat of government to their disadvantage, challenging the constitutional validity of legislation deemed detrimental to their interests. Presidents throughout our history have attempted to spread their own official immunity to their subordinates by resisting actions of the courts or of congressional committees to require subordinates to divulge communications from or to the president of the to the president that presidents choose to regard as confidential. Only recently, however, has the focus of the controversy shifted from protection of presidential or executive interest to protection of the president himself, and the locus of the dispute shifted to the courts. Where in this that you linked? Where is this obvious answer that?
I have to scroll down to the bottom. It's highlighted. I don't know. It's Section 5. Congressional access.
You're highlighting a footnote that you've given me.
Yeah. Congressional access to executive branch information.
Also, Trump has claimed way broader executive privilege in his federal cases.
And then he'd be wrong.
Well, okay, but it's held up, right? In the sense that
I don't know.
in the same sense, the contempt charges against Barr and then Holder and now this, like executive privilege is it's pretty sweeping at this point. We've not firmed up the boundaries of what it applies to and what it doesn't. We have not litigated these things, and so it's holding up right now.
And also, real quick, even in the footnote that you gave, these were 5 different categories of executive privilege. You're citing 3, saying information relating to pending litigation and investigative files and reports.
Yeah, so that would be where it would fall under if the investigation was still open by her.
Quick, I'm jumping over.
Wait, could it not be number 4, information relating to internal government affairs, privilege from disclosure in the public interest?
Possible, but that the issue is that IG reports and stuff like that and information collected from are falling under the judiciary oversight.
Saying Brian shouldn't come on.
That might be your opinion, but okay. I mean,
if you think that's correct, it could be.
They're taking a court for it, so.
I would assume typically what happens when the executive asserts executive privilege, Congress drops it, and that's happened in all of these cases we're talking about. So, like, we could litigate it, but we're not.
Typical times at this point. I don't trust typicality in any argument now, especially with the ruling of criminality being immune for the president.
Can I just say, okay, Artemis, I appreciate your stamina here. It's amazing.
I've done worse.
Okay, it's amazing. I mean, look, yeah.
Wait, hold on. To be clear, his stamina is not amazing. He just lies, and then we have to spend like 45 minutes trying to debunk the bullshit.
That's what you claiming.
And he just says, and then he goes, "Oh, you're just a debate bro. You're the one lying." Like everything he's just said. There's nothing impressive about a single thing. Really, what have I lied about?
You've lied about do we have to go over the 3 things you've already lied about me?
What, that your job, that you probably are lying about your job? Like an actual material thing I've lied about in this conversation. What was I even wrong about?
The issue being is that you've asked me questions. I've stated my recollection of the events, and then you go find information and then accuse me of lying. There's no way to assert a lying statement from that because it's fundamentally, I'm always going to be on the back foot for this conversation. I recognize that as an argument.
The J6 report was not good, or what you disagreed about it.
I'm not going to recognize
all these different things about.
I'm not going to recognize your argument how I am lying or bad faith.
Okay.
Because of that.
Gotcha.
I'm always going to be on the back foot because you're asking me everything and you're not asserting an actual opinion. So I don't recognize.
What are your actual opinions as far as JN6 goes? Because I thought you were advocating like a positive argument that you think the J6 investigation was bullshit because Jim Jordan wasn't on there, but you're saying that was the sentiment of Republicans.
I always argue from how things are viewpoint from the population because I don't vote.
And you argue about how you think they're viewed from the population because you don't have any polling data to swear anything. You're going by your own personal vibes.
You're the political guru here. Yeah.
No,
you definitely.
The general public is really.
When you say the general public believes a thing, say the general public believes a thing, then you would source like a poll, or you would show a news article or something.
Why would I need to do that?
Because you're not God? I don't know. Because you're not like the collective. You're not the buggers from
that worked out well for you.
Wait, Artemis, do you not feel obligated to provide any evidence for any claim that you make?
Nope.
I'm baffled by this because
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. The issue being is that all he's doing is arguing these things, and I'm not saying them.
If he disagrees with the claim that you're making, what do you expect him to do?
Not try to insinuate that I'm lying constantly when he's always. Never mind.
I don't think it's an insinuation. It's just
shut the fuck up, Gibbles. I don't care what you think. So, anyways, the answer is the answer is I take it from the viewpoint of the popular sentiment of MAGA and conservatives on how things are done. There doesn't need to be an actual physical widespread study on it.
Can I offer an alternative explanation?
Do you think there's any world in which the MAGA people would have been happy with any report that came out of the January 6th Commission?
No.
Why are we arguing about this?
Because I'm arguing that the questions, comments, and concerns that they have laid out would be far less amenable to the moderates, I would say, and there would have been a lot less of a accusation of persecution involved.
I don't think you're ever going to get away from the accusations of persecution when you're investigating
but the validity is going to be a lot less
bad, right? Like, well,
the issue is it doesn't matter if you have a fringe microcosm of people claiming it. The issue is that majority of the people, almost half the population of the United States believe Trump is justified in his actions on Jan 6th. After 4 years,
Artemis.
Hold on, that's not true. That however half the people think he was justified. That's just not true.
So Artemis, just real quick here. So, what do you personally think about the results of the January 6th committee?
That all of the retards that showed up at January 6th deserve what they got.
No, I mean the validity of the evidence that was produced by the committee. What do you think?
I have no real actual opinion on it.
Okay.
Huh. Okay. As much as I love the concept of Maglocks, I have a question. So I've been mad at Wick for not letting me in for so long. Dev, in your closing statement on the Hunter Biden thing, which was the panel earlier, if anybody remembers still, you said something about you're fine with when one side has forsaken some principle and has gone beyond norms. You're fine with the other side coming back and going as far as they have to show them, that's not okay, but no further. And I was curious to, now that Josiah's here, this is perfect. These are the two people I wanted to ask this, to Stephen and Josiah, if you agree with that, because I'm not convinced that you guys would agree with the no further thing. It seems like you guys are fine with escalation. So I was just curious what you thought of that framing, because I thought it was good. I liked what Dev said. So, yeah.
I mean, I can't speak for Stephen. I'm not particularly married to the proportionality of response. Somebody who's more of an ethicist than me can make the case that, you go truly tit for tat. I think you probably make the argument that you have to collect some interest in your response as well. I just think there has to be some sort of proportional response on some level.
So how do we ratchet back down the tensions that we're currently at?
It would require Republicans taking the first, second, and third steps towards doing that.
So there's nothing that we can do at all?
No, I categorically reject any attempt, any initial disarmament in the, norm breaking.
This is how we get hold on. This is how we get Israel-Palestine, basically.
So just to be clear, for Josiah, he's saying you reject the as far as they have, but no further thing. You wouldn't hold to that.
No. I'm open to that. I'm not married to, we have to hit them harder than they hit us. I just think we have to hit back.
Right now, here's the issue. There are things that we can do that are so powerful that are still technically legal that we haven't even begun to explore. The Democrats haven't even explored their legal options. So I think that those should be things that should be considered, heavily considered. And then absent that, I don't know, we look at that. We look at it next. So term limits for Supreme Court justices, I think that's an incredibly powerful proposition. And you don't have to accept that, but then we pack the court after.
Okay.
I guess I'm still not seeing where you ratchet back down tensions, right? So earlier.
No. Ratcheting down only works when the other side is willing to do it. But you have to understand this, okay? Hold on, because this is what people don't understand, okay? If a kid cries in a store and you give him a fucking candy bar, he will never stop crying for candy bars. He never meets you halfway. There's never been a 7-year-old who's like, Mom and Dad, you guys have given in so much when I'm a piece of shit at the store for giving me candy bars, and I'm going to actually stop that behavior. That never happens, right? Why is that supposed to happen with the Republicans?
One of the problems with hold on, if I may.
Wait, let him answer that. Why would that ever happen with the Republicans?
I don't think that every single Republican at all times is acting as a child in the candy store. I think what many of them are, but some of them are like Mitch McConnell, like Pence, like Nikki Haley, all of these people, some of whom admittedly are now part of our coalition and not part of Chris Christie, part of the MAGA coalition. But these kinds of people do exist, and it is possible to, as we've seen in the case of Nikki Haley and Chris Christie, both of whom did reasonably well, didn't succeed, but did reasonably well in that primary very recently.
That's great. That's great. Okay. There are times where I do polls in my chat to figure out which movie was better than another movie, or to figure out what, game we want to play or whatever. I don't give a fuck about a popularity poll. My question is...
yes, you do care about a popularity poll.
Let me know when you're done with this, and I'm going to tell you I don't care. No, it's not.
Popularity poll is democracy.
I don't care about democracy. I care about measurable actions that the government is taking to either strengthen our institutions or destroy our institutions right now.
Okay. I would say that democracy, that the
Stop. I don't. This is childish. I don't care. No, I don't care. Yeah. Show me what measurable actions people like Nikki Haley have done to strengthen our government or protect us from the MAGA onslaught.
Well, Destiny, to be fair, Nikki did criticize Donald Trump before endorsing and voting for him.
Okay, that is true. She did criticize him.
Before endorsing and voting.
You're throwing out the people who didn't go far enough and didn't end up endorsing coming all the way over to our side of the aisle. That's true. There are people in that category. There are also people who did, like Liz Cheney, come all the way across the aisle and literally Liz Cheney endorsed the same person as Bernie Sanders did.
That's fine. Listen, I don't want to be, I'm going to go full Vosh. I'm going to go full Vosh, okay? There are a lot of Jews, okay, in Auschwitz and in other concentration camps. There are a lot of Jews who none of them thought, man, nobody really came and intervened, but I'm sure there were a lot of people that really wanted to, and they had a lot of really harsh.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are people intervening. I'm saying that Liz Cheney crossed the aisle. I'm saying that people like Nikki Haley didn't cross the aisle, but certainly threatened to cross the aisle.
Yeah, but these are people
that it is good to encourage that kind of behavior within the Republican caucus.
No, it's not.
Quibbles is not enough.
We don't have time. It's not enough.
You're saying it's not enough. We lost by 1.5%.
No. We lost a president. We lost a presidential seat. Just think about the state of the world. Would anything have even happened the way that it did in Iraq and Afghanistan if Gore was president instead of Bush? Do you know? Who knows? Would anything have even happened with criminal immunity if Amy Coney Barrett, who doesn't write like an insane person, okay, like fucking Roberts and Thomas, if she would have been on a 5-person Supreme Court, would Trump have criminal immunity if Merrick Garland would have been heard and consented to by the Senate under Obama? Maybe.
I don't know what
with our dealing with the way that the entire world responds to COVID, would that have looked the same under a Democrat president after Obama? If McConnell hadn't said we're going to make him one-term president, we're going to do nothing.
Dude, you're just asking a bunch of theoretical history. This would be a fun little YouTube clip.
No.
I have no idea.
No. You don't know the facts. This is the issue. Is you have broad opinions about things, but every single example that I just gave you was an example of Democrats surrendering norms to the Republicans. Republicans taking, and potentially destroying the world as a result of that. That's what I'm talking about. Gore gave up. Listen, Gore gave up the election because he believed in the ECA safe harbor. Donald Trump said that they should have broken the entire ECA.
Hold on, stop. Destiny, hold on, stop. Oh my God, Quibble, stop. You're doing bad at this. Okay, Destiny, what should Gore have done?
After losing the Supreme Court
case, he should have gotten somehow we should have gotten a recount in fucking Florida, like he was entitled to. I don't think the recount finished in
There
Florida.
was a couple recounts. I was again, as someone who was an actual adult at the time, right? So probably none of you, but me, I was 18 fucking years old when that happened, right? I watched it, right? I watched the recount happen. There was a couple recounts.
They began recounts and they paused them. Yeah, they paused them.
They stopped.
Right.
And that Supreme Court
stopped the count, but then they ultimately did still, I think.
I don't even know. The Supreme Court stopped it because they were trying to maintain the safe harbor of the ECA. That law was so fucking important. The ECA was so goddamn important to Republicans that they needed to be ready for that December 14th, December 15th deadline for the electors to submit their votes.
I'm saying they based the decision of the election on a partial count, but I'm pretty sure they did eventually count the whole thing.
Why would they have finished?
But they counted after the election was done.
They did. The New York Times paid for the recount to happen after the election was over, just to see. I don't know off the top of my head what the results of that, but the recount was finished.
I do. Bush ended up winning. It was close, but Bush ended up winning. Yeah.
Well, hold on. No. I've seen several different recounts. They've gone over it a bunch of times, and several of them Gore won.
Multiple different ways of doing
that's a problem here with the recounts, right? That was the whole issue. Hold on, really quick.
My understanding is that final recount was stopped, and it was never finished.
No, the official count wasn't.
Recount was stopped,
because the official count was the thing that was actually concluded, and the state of Florida actually accepted, and that was not concluded. That was not every single.
One of the problems.
They had a right to a recount. A lot of states can auto-trigger recounts if it was within a margin. The vote margin on that election, out of 6 million votes, was like 550 votes. So he had a right to a recount.
If I recall,
I don't know why. I'm there's part of me that wants to get into the argument about 2000, but not really, because most of it.
No. I'm just showing you. Right? I just want to show you the difference because people don't understand what's connected or not. Yeah. The law that pushed the Supreme Court to making this decision so quickly, the whole argument that Republicans used to say we don't have time to recount was because they were trying to hit the safe harbor from the Electoral Count Act, the same law that Donald Trump saw fit to eviscerate on January 6th, a full month after the electors had already submitted their votes. That's the different standard. And we got nothing for allowing them to do that both times. That's the issue. The first time we
Okay, so just real quick, there was a recount that was a machine. Hold on, stop. You guys are getting the facts wrong here. I'm looking up the facts right now. So there was a machine recount that went off. The Supreme Court of Florida decided for a selective manual recount to go in a couple things. It decided it was by a 5-4 decision, right? That's what was stopped.
The selective manual recount.
The selective manual recount.
Manually
so yes, this idea that they just stopped all the recount is just wrong. It's just factually incorrect.
Right. So yeah, the thing that
it was a Supreme Court a special manual recount that they wanted to put in. Right? Then they argued about the hanging cats over and over again.
The reason why they wanted to do that manual recount was because of the ballots, the weird fucking butterfly.
Yes, that was the whole thing. But to frame it as no, you're right. But to frame it as if they were just stopping all the recounts is just wrong.
They stopped the final recount.
Okay. I mean, fair enough, but you didn't frame it like that.
The decision, when it was handed down, did stop the recounting. Florida was in the process of manually recounting in some counties. The challenge was that some places were doing this in an unequal way, right? That was making some votes count and some aren't, and some are double counted, and it was wild and it was weird. And so when the Supreme Court decision comes down, it stops the recount and awards it on the basis of the final tally. So yeah, it's weird. It's a weird case. You should read it. It's fun. But most of the justices
I'm confused what the reputation had done exactly. Can you lay out, after he lost the Supreme Court case, what exactly did you want for Gore to do?
That was my original question, yes.
I don't know. I would have to go and look at the time for what your options even are at that point. But I'm just saying that that's an example of that norm was so I don't know if you're saying norm here. Maybe it was so egregiously upheld that the ECA and these dates were so important to be done counting on these dates. But then when Trump rolls around, all of a sudden they don't matter anymore. To
be clear, they did matter when Trump rolled around, because to be clear, we still did get the election decided, and it was the same day that it was actually reconferred, whatever the fuck it's called, right? The same day as Jan 6, as it was supposed to be.
Hold on.
No.
Okay. If I try to kill you, okay, but I fail in murdering you, and then I don't have any criminal prosecution for what I did, you can't say, well, the system worked, I'm still alive, okay? That election, the certification on January 6th was done after being delayed for hours because of a fucking riot led by the president, who to this day asserts that the outcome of that election was fraudulent.
Was outrageous and disgusting and an attack on norms that failed.
Well, an attack on norms and illegal. Attacks on norms and illegal. The norm was not upheld.
I agree with you. I've been agreeing with everything you've been saying about Gen 6 for the last hour and a half.
The norm was not upheld. The ECA, he tried to violate it. Pence ultimately didn't do it, and the counting was delayed. The certification of the vote was delayed because of violence.
Delayed by a couple of hours. That's bad. I wish it hadn't been delayed by a couple of hours. Let's not pretend that the actual ultimate result was not the result that it ought to have been.
135 elected Republicans still voted to formally object to the results even after the insurrection. That's how.
Horrible. I agree. Also,
but there are other results that happened.
Electors in 2016 were also bad. I agree.
But there are other results,
to be clear, but it was also bad. And
there are other results that happened as a result of these actions. One, we've changed our Constitution. We used to have a provision in our amendment, in the 14th Amendment, that said that if you had engaged in insurrection and you had been a prior oath taker, that you were no longer allowed to run for president again. That's gone. We had to get rid of that to allow Trump to run again. We also changed our interpretation of the Constitution. We've granted brand new criminally immune powers to the president to protect Trump from behavior that he would have been prosecuted for. So those are two outcomes. Those are two direct results from the J6 shit. So to say that everything turned out as it should have been is absolutely not true. We changed our Constitution and we gave the president new powers in order to allow Trump to escape responsibility for his actions.
Yeah, we've removed critical guardrails from the presidency as a direct consequence from what happened on January 6th. But I also want to go back to what the professor and Quibbles were talking about earlier in terms of ratcheting it down. There was an example that jumped out to me from a couple of months ago when you guys were talking about this. So the professor knows about this because we talked about this a lot, but there's this notion in the Senate Judiciary Committee called the blue slip, and it basically lets senators effectively veto presidential judicial nominees for their home state. So if Senator Quibbles doesn't like President Josiah as judicial nominee, you can say, Mr. President, here's my blue slip. I don't like this guy. Pick somebody else. When Republicans won the presidential election, they won the Senate in 2017. They revoked the blue slip rule for circuit court judges, so President Trump could cram through his nominees over Democratic objections. When President Biden won in 2020 and the Senate flipped in 2021, Republicans were pissed that Democrats did not reinstitute that rule. And Sheldon Whitehouse, I'm paraphrasing here, said, you motherfuckers revoked the rule. Now you want us to restore it. We're not going to have a thing where you all get to give the finger to blue slips, but we have to obey them. Not going to happen. 6 months ago, Senator Tom Tillis, a Republican, was furious that Dick Durbin has still not reinstituted the blue slip rule. He said, listen, we have an election coming up. The blue slips need to be restored. Republicans need to they should be able to have a voice in whoever the president nominates for their home states. And when he was reminded, well, you all were the ones who set this precedent. You did this. Tom Tillis was like, well, the important thing about norms is, you have to practice them when it's hard. You guys need to be the one to restore it. I feel like you and the professor would say that's exactly what Democrats should do. Democrats should have 6 months ago restored a norm that Republicans broke when it was convenient and restored it once again when it was convenient for Republicans in the hopes that they would respect this norm when they are in power. That's ridiculous. The only way we ratchet down is if Republicans take the first, second, and third steps. Democrats, as far as I'm concerned,
they're saying the same thing about us, though. Right? This is the problem.
But there's a factual difference.
No, I agree with you. That's why I don't vote for Republicans. Right? I agree with you. That's why I don't vote for Republicans.
Yeah, but it's not enough to just not vote for them. You also need to fight against them.
I do.
Needs to be consequential behavior. No, not fight against them in the ballot box, but also we need
fight
to
against them on my stream.
What is legally allowed for Democrats to do? This idea of us like coming across the aisle, and be like, oh no, we'll continue to get fucked by you guys while we do our best to like respect norms. No, let them make the first step. That's why I asked earlier. Give me an example of a single time in the past 10 years Republicans have done anything to come across the aisle. And the only example I got was, well, on January 7th, there were some people that were like,
you will notice, and your community will also notice that I fight against you when you and Josiah especially are advocating for going steps further, such as packing the court, such as ending the filibuster. And thank God we didn't end the filibuster, and thank God we didn't pack the court, because you imagine the shit that we would have to deal with now if we didn't have the filibuster. Seriously.
Underlying every single argument you say, you will never say this, or maybe someday you will. You keep saying you're underlying all of this, okay, and you're pretending that you're in a room, okay, that's 99 degrees, and you're saying, thank God we didn't do that. Imagine how hot it would be in here. Thank God we didn't do that. The temperature would be so big. But the reality is you're in a room with 140 degrees, okay, and you're like on the verge of dying, and you're like, thank God we didn't do this because the thermostat would be 5 degrees higher. And it's like, motherfucker, we're already boiling. You're insane. The fact that
you keep asking to turn the temperature up when we're boiling. I agree. It's hot, but the answer isn't to ratchet it up because they ratcheted it up first. This reciprocal radicalization that keeps going on. Hold on, this is important. We have a case where we have the extremes on both sides, people whispering in people's ears on both sides. It's not all Democrats, not all Republicans. It's extreme on both sides, reciprocally radicalizing each other, pointing to the actions that the other side is doing, said, see, they did this, we should go a step further because we have to fight it. Okay, and that's what's happening. We're living in the world that you say we should live in.
What did we get for respecting the norm so far?
We got 2018 victories, we got 2020 victories, we got 2022 victories. The only one we lost was the 2024, and we barely lost that.
Before Destiny takes down this, wait a minute, before Destiny takes you three down this, and I'm happy to explore this with you, can I get an answer from the three of you about the example I provided? Should Democrats, now that they were in power 6 months ago, should they have restored the rule that Republicans broke when it was convenient? Should they have restored that for Republican convenience?
I'm asking you not to break more rules because they did. I'm neutral. I am agnostic on that, Josiah. Josiah, to answer your question, I'm agnostic on that. But what I am not agnostic on that is what you keep advocating for, which is, look at they broke rules, let's break these more rules. That's what I'm against.
Okay, wait, so here's the question. Let's say that.
Go ahead. Answer. Okay. The answer is that no, we shouldn't have done that specific action, but there are other actions that we can do.
Why shouldn't we? Can I just real quick before you go on? Can you please clarify? Wait a minute. Can you clarify? You said no. That's not enough for me. Why not? Why not?
Why not? Because I don't think that individual situation would have been a successful ratcheting down. Because that specific situation would not be something that would actually manage to fix on the other side of the aisle. The issues that we should specifically targeting on things that we can manage to do that are not unilateral, but are bipartisan kinds of things. So there are certain things that we can say, even if they're just rhetorical and we don't actually successfully get them across the finish line, that are worth saying. So stuff like, hey, Congress members should have to put all of their assets, their liquid assets, into an index fund. We can just demand that. And we probably will fail.
This is the most boring, irrelevant thing to our political existence ever, is the fucking trading from fucking Democrats. Who cares?
Steven, I don't know if you're aware of this. We are not going to get anything that we want passed in the next 2 years. So it's a question of what do we decide rhetorically to have congressmen and members of the Senate put forward and hopefully manage to get across the aisle.
I wouldn't even support that. That would be stupid. That would be bad legislation. Why would I give a fuck about who's trading insider in Congress when the richest man in the world just had his own fucking government agency made for him?
I'm sorry. You no longer care about insider trading because Trump is worse?
I no longer care about insider trading from Congress members because I don't want to give a false hollow victory that we managed to do something about insider trading.
False hollow victory. I would like them to not be involved in insider trading.
I just don't see how that ratchets anything down.
Moving forward, it wouldn't make the perfect country, but it would be super woo-woo bullshit about it.
You're talking about Hitler making a rule so that Jews can't use racial slurs in fucking gas chambers. Like, would it be great if nobody used racial slurs? Sure.
Steven, you can't keep on referring
who has divested from any of his businesses, who is the richest man in the world running alongside him in his own fucking government department to talk about insider trading? You're crazy.
Steven,
you're insane.
You cannot keep on referring to him as being Hitlerian and then continue to turn around and say, also, by the way, it's still not time to be engaged in military activity.
Why?
You gotta choose one.
He could be Hitler. I don't know if they needed to violently overthrow Hitler in 1933 or whatever, or 1935 or whatever. I don't know when the time was when they needed to take violent steps towards it.
Fine. At the very least, we should be like, when earlier I asked you, hey, should we pardon literally all of the Democrats? Your response should have been, yes, we should.
Because I don't know what you mean by pardon all the Democrats. This is an empty, hollow, governmental, historical. I don't even know what the fuck this is for. Pardon all the Democrats?
Should we have pardoned Obama? Should we have pardoned Clinton? Should we have pardoned literally everyone that could potentially be going after Harris? Everyone.
Should Biden have preemptively pardoned, or should Biden preemptively pardon anybody that Trump might feasibly target for political prosecution? Which is something that's actually currently being debated. If Trump, is threatening
my answer is no.
Hillary Clinton and go after Obama, should Biden give some sort of blanket pardon for a 10-year spread?
It's so funny because even against that, I'm guessing you'd be super against that, right?
Of course I would.
I actually might not. Actually,
just to be clear, that blanket pardon, that wouldn't even fucking mean anything. What a worthless, the Democrats could do that, and I would look at it and be like, that's kind of dumb. And it wouldn't even matter.
That's kind of dumb. It's very bad.
No, because it pales in comparison to one of 50 things that Trump has already done.
My answer to Josiah's question is that no, I don't think the Democrats should do that. When it comes, we've talked about this, when it comes to procedural norms in the Senate especially, I'm very flexible on that, right? It's something that they can change their rules if they want. And so I would not think it's necessary. I think you're right. It wouldn't ratchet it down for them to concede after the Republicans have claimed some sort of victory here. I would like it probably in the grand scheme if both parties could agree, oh yeah, that was probably a good thing. We should get it back eventually. Like maybe the Republicans when they're in power should get it back.
Ratcheting it down? I tell you what would be ratcheting it down. Now that Republicans are going to be back in control of the Senate, for Republicans to go, yes, we were the ones who broke this rule.
So we're going to reinstate
2017.
It.
We're going to reinstate it.
Yes, I would advocate for that. Same thing with filibuster. Same thing with filibuster for court appointments.
Do you think Republicans are going to do
that?
No,
absolutely not. Of course not.
Wick, do you think
no, that's why I'm not going to vote for him. Yeah.
No, the incentives are wacky. They're not going to
So then, what should Democrats do? This is where Steven and I are always. We end up right.
Certainly, I will tell you exactly. Okay, you, Chris, get your question. But it's the same thing we did in 2018. Same thing that we did in 2020. Same thing that we did in 2022. That's what we should do. What you're advocating for, right, is to do this thing to make us indistinguishable, or make it, let me correct myself because that's not true, make it harder to distinguish from the average low info voter between the Democrats and the Republicans. That's what you're advocating for. It's not working. It's what led to our loss. It's what are going to keep losing, and I refuse to just keep losing, Josiah. I refuse to keep losing, and during your path, we continue to lose. We lose. We are in a wilderness that's longer than the wilderness we went to after Nixon.
Do not hit your husband back. Do not defend yourself.
Because Trump's bad, I'm going to go beat my wife and say, hey, you know what, lady, right, girlfriend, lady, whatever I have, right, it's okay. You shouldn't be mad at this. You should be mad at Trump. Look at what Trump's done. Why are you talking about this? Because look at what Trump has done. Look at what Trump has done to this country. How can you be mad that I'm hitting you over the head right now? right? You should just not even talk about this. That's what you're advocating for, Josiah.
I'm advocating for defending ourselves politically. You're advocating for unilateral.
I am not advocating for giving up. I'm advocating for not being stupid.
Unilateral.
You're also advocating for. Josiah is advocating for.
Josiah lost this fucking election. I don't give a shit what he's advocating for.
Things more peaceful, and it seems weird, but if you have an area with a whole bunch of people and they're left to their own devices, sometimes they do bad things. But when you've got an area with police officers and they can kill you if you do bad things, usually that improves the circumstances. Notice how for all of human history, it's usually more organization or more consequences or more people here that are to enact things against you if you act improperly or do horrible things. These are like usually things that prevent bad behavior. If Republicans earlier, Eucharist, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, that's fine.
Eucharist earlier said, of course Republicans wouldn't do this. And right now, if I was an advisor to a Republican, and Josiah should say the exact same thing, okay? And the Republican were to come to me privately, and he was like, "Should we undo like this blue slip? Should we admit that we fucked up?" I would say, my advice. What would I tell him, Josiah? What would we tell him?
You'd be like, probably break the other blue slip rule for district court judges. Just do it again.
Fucking A, because why not? Why the fuck would you ever? Why would you concede to these weak, limp-dick fucking losers? What the fuck are they gonna do? Tweet at you? What are they going to do?
I continue to unaddress, which is kind of frustrating, explain that I'm not advocating that we just throw our hands up and start doing things unilaterally. I'm saying that we should instead demand very publicly that they do certain things that are anti-corruption legislation in Congress, in the Senate, because they are going to have to say no to us or let us get away with it. Right?
Okay, I agree with that. As long as that includes every single person that's on a cabinet level position and the president divesting through all of their multi-billion-dollar enterprises.
I agree. I would love to put that forward. If you want to have, if Katie Porter tomorrow put that forward, I'd be very happy. And if Ro Khanna also put a separate one that was just for Congress, I'd be happy with that one also.
And you and the other 27 people in the House that are supporting it would be ecstatic.
So it's not the.
This is my frustration here. This is my frustration.
Wait.
Oh my God.
The purpose of being a senator, the purpose of being a congressman in this political environment, if you are in the minority, is entirely about the bully pulpit. That is all your job is, exclusively for the most part. Yes, okay. There was a couple of committee assignments, sure, but broadly speaking, for the rank and file members of Congress, that's their job. Their job is to be getting us good information so that we can prove, hey, look at this thing that you voted against. Look at this other thing you voted against, and have overwhelming support for those kinds of things. That's what we should be doing, obviously.
Sure, but we're not doing that. Instead, we are having whole panels talking about whether or not the Hunter Biden pardon was okay, or whether or not Joe Biden is too senile around the country, or whether or not we should have had an open primary with Kamala Harris, or whether or not we should have created a slightly smaller hurricane.
If there had been an open primary, almost certainly we would have been slightly better. And given we only slightly lost, yeah, I think having a primary would have been better.
You wanted to have an open primary. You wanted to have an open primary with months to the election. Donald Trump, we didn't have a fucking debate.
Stephen,
and he already lost his last election.
I am not saying that once we had already had the horrible. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was on a debate panel with you. At least it was Josiah. I don't remember exactly who was on it. There were absolutely. I'm not saying that after the first debate with Biden that there would have been an ability to have a proper primary. Of course, there wasn't enough time for that. However, had there been an actual open primary and had Biden admitted earlier, a year back in 2019 or some shit, or not 2019, 2023 or whatever, he had managed to say, hey, I'm not going to run again. Yeah, obviously the Democrats would have been in a better position. Of course.
Why do you say, of course, you know that, or you say that, but if they would have done an open primary.
I know that. I'm very confident that's true. Of course you would. Do you not agree with that?
No, not necessarily, no.
So
was the first debate?
Eucharist had a question. I'm curious what it was. I
want to try to wrap a couple of things because I find myself in a weird position. I think I hate being stupid centrist, but between Josiah and Wick, in the sense that I do agree. This is one of the reasons it's hard to talk with Josiah.
My side. You're more my side, aren't you? Admit it. Well, there's 5% more body mass over on my side of the line.
I'll explain. One of the reasons it's hard to talk with Josiah is I do agree with you that the things that you grab onto, I think you're right that they're qualitatively different when the Republicans do them. But all of this conversation is centering around optics and how it plays out to the voter and the people that we care about getting out to the ballot box. So when the Republicans come back and say, well, it's no big deal what we did to Garland, and it's no big deal what we did getting rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court nominees, because they did that with district court nominees first, right? I agree with you. Those are qualitatively different things, but they sell it as if it's, well, we're just doing what they did first. So,
yes, because we keep falling into their trap. But go ahead.
So my question then to the, I guess, pro pardon people, because I agree it is kind of stupid that we're having this whole debate panel about the pardon. Right?
I'm making lots of money. It's not stupid. Okay.
I am unwilling to hand-wring about the Hunter Biden pardon, even as someone, I'm more conservative than not. I'm anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, whatever. But I'm unwilling to hand-wring about the Hunter Biden pardon after all the Trump pardons. I think you guys are totally right about that. But I wonder, you're saying like there are tactically things that you can do that are more advantageous than not. Do you think this is one of those? Do you think this is actually something that accomplishes anything? And if not, Stephen, you mentioned like you think there are legal things that Democrats could be doing that they're not yet. So what are those? So well, one, do you think this is actually tactically advantageous?
I'll say personally, I'll just say this. I want
to say real quick for Wick, and then you can say, I won't even say anything. Oh, just for Wick. Falling into the trap is what you want, by the way. Playing by all the norms while they break all of them, that's the trap.
Let's look at history. We don't have to go back forward more than 20 years for this. Right? No, hold on. No, stop. Josiah, no. Because this is what happens.
And then
again, Harry Reid does a thing because he thinks he has to, because Republicans kind of pressure him into it. He does this thing that plays exactly into the Republicans' hands so they can use it against us. Thank God we didn't remove the filibuster. They were waiting. They were looking. They were rubbing their hands together with bated breath, like, I hope they get rid of the filibuster.
What happens? Let's just grant the premise. What happens if we don't take the bait? What happens if we don't fall in the trap? What happens?
Then we less bad outcomes than what would normally have. Yes.
So like,
wait, hold on. Am I the government retarded to say it? Can't they just remove the filibuster when the Republicans take over?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. They could, but will they?
Yeah.
Wait, why wouldn't they? You think
they didn't in 2017? Hold on, they didn't in 2017. We had this. Trump asked them. No, stop. Trump asked them.
They did. Wait. Do you think they have a principled attachment to the filibuster? I just want to
hear some of them do. McConnell does. Absolutely.
McConnell won't be leader.
And I'll give you my I'll give you my evidence, because I have evidence for this. In 2017, I believe
7 years ago,
right? Trump commanded, ordered, whatever, McConnell to get rid of the speaking filibuster, to get rid of the filibuster, right? That was blocking his legislation. You know what McConnell told him? McConnell told him, no, we're not going to do that, right? So yes, at least McConnell has a principled, at least there is some evidence that he has a principled stance for this, because he told Trump no when they asked him before.
McConnell broke the filibuster, but McConnell broke the filibuster in 2017.
He did that as a direct response to Harry Reid's actions.
There you go, Stephen. That right there. Wait a minute, Stephen.
Hold on. No, you don't. Okay. If Harry Reid hadn't broken the filibuster.
So, just to be clear, he did. He broke it for Gorsuch, okay? And he says, quote, what a great quote. This will be, and Wick is so happy about this quote. He's like, well, see, at least he said this. McConnell says, quote, this will be the first and last partisan filibuster of a Supreme Court justice, end quote.
I don't think any of these people have a firm principled attachment to the filibuster. I do think there are people in the Senate right now who are actively resisting the sort of online MAGA pressure that they're feeling. I think the senators are getting really pissed off about the sort of online campaign that Elon is waging, trying to get them on board with who the Senate majority leader should be, who the cabinet pick should be. Like, I think the Senate, one of the cool things, you've been reading the Federalist Papers, Stephen, I love this, right? One of the cool things about the actual separation of powers is that I think the Senate does have some identity, and I think they are like grating against the pressure that they're feeling from the MAGA base. I think we might see some pushback there. I'm not terribly optimistic, but I wouldn't call it principled. I would just say it's self-interested in the way that the system is designed.
Yeah, I got a simple rule.
I still want answers to my questions, right? Do you think this is actually an advantageous thing to do? And if not, to this broader question, what are the legal things they should be doing, right, that they aren't doing yet?
I think the pardon's I think President Biden pardoning Hunter is a non-issue. Everybody says, oh, it's going to open the floodgates for Trump. Trump was going to do what Trump's going to do anyway, and that's it. I don't.
Yeah, and the worst case scenario is a neutral. It's like nothing changes. In the best case scenario, at least we take Hunter Biden off the table for 50 million more fucking Jim Jordan congressional jerk-off sessions over him.
Although, Stephen, no, what's funny is now Comer and Jim Jordan are making the rounds. Well, now Hunter Biden can't plead the fifth because he's taking the pardon, so we might have further investigations. They're not going to let that 9-inch dick go. Like they're
oh, that's cool. And can we have some House committee where we bring in all the people that Trump pardoned and have them come and testify? Can Roger Stone then come in and testify and no longer plead the fifth? Can we do that?
We should have done that, and we should do that the next time we have power. I agree.
So I agree that it's like a neutral in terms of Trump's behavior. I don't think this changes the incentives for Trump at all. But do you think optically, like this, like if you're thinking about like what does this look like? I agree with whoever said earlier the problem that really grated them was the promise, not the
lying about it.
But the going back on. I promise not to do it. Yeah. So optically, when it comes to voters, when it comes to what we can justify publicly of our actions, right? Trump was going to do what Trump's going to do. I agree. But when it comes to time for him to say, here's why I'm justified in doing this because he did that back there, I think that does change things in a way.
Look, and to be clear, because I didn't get to say this on the panel, but I want to be clear. I would have done the same thing in Biden's case.
No one cares because you're doing it for a cuck reason because he's your son. No one cares about that. Okay, we're not talking about that. That's such a cop out fuck answer. No one cares.
It's just
okay.
True.
Hold on. I think that it does look bad, but I think it looks bad because of how we present it. Okay, because we present it as this retreating from having any type of morality, and it's like, whoa. Well, it was his fucking son, and maybe he was fucking just such an old fucking man. You know what it should have been? It should have been a strong statement against Republicans raping the norms judicially and prosecutorially of this fucking country. And it should be, the answer should have been, right? I'm going to pardon my son against a new FBI head who wrote a fucking child's book where Donald Trump is the king and talks about the usurpers coming after his fucking power. Okay? That should have been the answer. It shouldn't have been the cucked position of like, well, I'm going to pardon blah, blah, blah. It should have been, yeah, I am pardoning him because these investigations have been insanely partisan, insanely fucking corrupt, and Jim Jordan can fucking expand his dick long enough to go and fuck himself up the ass with it. That should have been the answer.
Biden did say that the reason he was pardoning him because the DOJ has been weaponized and against him. So he didn't use those
and
words.
The entire liberal media is out here. The entire liberal media is out here crawling around trying to figure out how we're going to fucking sell it to the American public.
I think that
they should not have added that in there.
How to deciding how to sell it to the public is important. It matters.
Yeah, and I agree. And it should be sold the way that I said it, not this. Oh, if I'm his dad, so I would do it.
Well, Wick, it's pretty much how I said it. A few hours ago, is that you have to do what they do to you, right? So that's how you sell it.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that mindset. I think that leads to disaster. And I think it's led us to disaster because the world that Josiah wants to live in has been the world that lost us the 2024 election.
When you say you do to them what they do to you, that leads to disaster. Definitionally, you're wrong. Tit for tat is how every evolutionary system in the world has developed. And the idea
it's also how we got to Israel-Palestine and that shit show. Tit for tat. Both sides saying the other side's doing shit to us, so we got to do shit to them. That's exactly the mindset that got us there. Did it work?
Hold on, Wick.
This is a bad analogy for 50 million reasons, but the tit for no response is how we get World War II.
Yeah, so Wick, when it comes to like the kind of gay game theory tit for tat stuff, what you basically need is you need to have tit for tat, but you also need like a forgiveness mechanism,
an off-ramp,
so that you don't have Israel Palestine, right? So you have to hit them when they hit you, but you also have to have a space where you can shake hands again. But only if they're willing to do it.
I don't disagree with that.
So you need both of those things.
Therefore, perhaps anti-corruption legislation put forward by the Democrats and likely turned down by many of the Republicans, but not all of the Republicans. That might be a good idea putting forward.
Did you support Bernie Sanders in 2024 as well, or just in 2020 and 2016?
In 2024? He didn't even run in 2020. What?
Were you one of the people saying there should have been an open primary so Bernie Sanders could? So it was 2020 and 2016.
In 2020,
would you have supported Bernie Sanders in the open primary in 2024 if he would have ran?
He's super old. Part of the reason that there had to be an open primary is because he was super old. I probably might have gone for Waltz. I don't really know exactly what I've gone for.
Okay. Just this fixation on the anti-corruption legislation is just such a lip service to nothing. It doesn't...
Steven, you're talking about lip service. We are in the minority right now. It's all about lip service. You're talking like your whole thing was you just went on a tirade about like how we can position this and do the exact same thing that we did, but position it differently so that it looks better to the American people. I don't know if you're aware of this. This is politics. We're talking about politics. It's about how you position things. It's about what you do from the bullet.
Do you guys think we can win right now with just the Democratic base? Just Democrats. Only Democrats show up, and can we win?
Yeah, of course.
No, we can't. We absolutely can't.
Yes, you can. Of course. What are you talking about?
If you can turn out enough people, you definitely could.
But we can't. We are hitting a limit on our turnout, right? We didn't lose in 2024.
We had 10 million
voters, didn't we? In 2020 was huge.
Hold on, let me find
because of the mail-in ballot.
The mail-in ballot hoax.
That's because a lot of moderates broke to the left. a lot of that. The reason we won in 2020, the reason we usually win is when moderates, when centrists, when those people break to the left. That's when we win.
No, I think we win when we turn out our base.
Wick, you just said
I agree, but I actually agree with you on like
that
all
you
cycle
agreed with
elections,
Dev that you have to hit back, but then offer an off ramp. So you do agree that there should be tit for tat. You just think that after the tat, you offer an exit ramp.
Correct.
Yeah, but the problem is right now we're at tit.
Well, that's
we're
the
waiting
thing.
for the tat.
I'm looking for Wick
you
to
asked me
clarify
earlier whether or not we should
Quibbles.
unilaterally
I'm asking
disarm.
Wick.
No.
Wick is the one. I understand where you are. Wick.
Sure. I think what we disagree on, is I say, yes, there should be consequences. You keep trying to frame my argument as I think we should just give up, do nothing, bend over to them. That's just not true. I just think that what you are advocating for is simply going harder on them than they are on us. It's not tit for tat that you're advocating for, right? And if you were advocating just for tit for tat,
what's one thing that we've said going harder on them than they've gone on us? What's one
Josiah, pack the courts, and the filibuster. Those are two off the top of the dome.
So they've already
Josiah is on record arguing for both of these things.
They've already suspended the filibuster, and they already denied it. I don't even know. I'm not sure what's
the filibuster. We still have the filibuster. I'm talking about the legislative filibuster, not the filibuster for appointees.
No. Well, no.
Josiah wants to end the filibuster just across the board.
It's still a filibuster. He's talking about that there have been exceptions made and carve-outs made to the filibuster.
Sure, but both sides.
What I've advocated for in the past as well. And yes, I've definitely argued for aggressive Supreme Court reform, including binding consequential codes of ethics, expanding the court if need be,
packing the courts,
term limits.
That's harder than what they're advocating for. Yes. So you asked me the question. I'm answering the question. This is what you're advocating for. That's not tit for tat. That's let's go even harder than they are. And to frame it as tit for tat is just not.
I
don't even know if I would agree that that's calling it going harder than they are, considering they literally denied a president his Supreme Court appointment. That's like an insane. Like that's probably more egregious than adding a justice is denying somebody the right to have one.
And then broke their own rule. Like they did it. Like they did. They did the very thing.
Hold on, I'm so sorry. Don't call it a rule. Call it a suggestion, because there are no rules with conservatives. Sorry.
Their own edict. They broke it twice in order to pack the court. They packed the court in 2017 and in 2020. So you cite Harry Reid a lot.
It's not the same thing as a packing of the court.
It's not. And again, this is the dishonesty of it. And this is why no one trusts you. And this is why we're going to keep losing if we keep having people like you advocating for this. Oh my God.
What's more packing? Would it be adding 5 Supreme Court justices, or would it be doing Schedule F and firing every single disloyal bureaucrat who's not politically allegiant to Trump?
Oh, Schedule F is a nightmare. Absolutely. Right?
Oh, so hold on. If we're losing elections because some people in the past have talked about packing the court, which is something that every Democratic politician runs from so much. Wick said it.
I said it.
Wick said it. How is it that Republicans can openly say Donald Trump literally tried to EO Schedule F already? Why can they do that openly and be celebrated for it?
They usually lose, but the reason they didn't this time is there's not just one factor, but one of those factors was no one no one trusted Kamala. No one trusted the DNC because they saw him force out Biden, right, against the primary voters' wishes, and the moderate voter stayed home. We have data on this, right? 6% of liberals stayed home. 27% of moderate voters stayed home, right? It wasn't liberals didn't turn out this election. It's moderates didn't turn out this election. And moderates who broke for Biden in 2020 because they saw Trump as an existential threat and Biden as a possible savior just decided this time, and we have to mind read the reason a little bit. But they just stayed home.
You said that I said something dishonest, and then earlier you said
packing the court framing is dishonest. Yeah.
So I'm curious. You seem very triggered. What is it that I'm saying that is pissing you off so much and is so dishonest?
The framing that.
I have answered.
I'm sure you do.
That's cool. And if you change your name to fucking Wick, I'll care about what you say. I'm asking Wick.
Here's a problem I have with you. Josiah. We've talked about this problem. I love you as a buddy. Love you as a friend. But right, what you do is the same thing you always do. You frame it as Democrats do no wrong, Republicans are all evil and do everything wrong. And I think that framing isn't going to win us any elections. It's
cool.
Just
so what's funny is that was just as dishonest as what you claimed that I said about you.
Yeah. You didn't even listen. You were just waiting to say that line.
No,
that's really all it was.
have I ever said that that Democrats do no wrong and that Republicans are all evil?
Based on your rhetoric, that is a conclusion that a reasonable person would come to.
I could say the same thing to you about your tit for tat metaphor, about how you
could, but you'd be wrong and I'm right.
Democrats.
That's just
that you
truth.
do just want Democrats to roll over and just accept Republican tactics.
Of course not.
If you had to honestly frame what Wick is trying to say, Josiah, how would you say it? What I've heard you say is something. It's not exactly that, right? But it's not too far off, which is like usually when there's a problem, it's the Republicans doing it. They're clearly worse. They're clear, like every like I don't. Is he that far off from what your actual position is?
Yes, because I'm not saying that Democrats are perfect. I'm saying that as a consistent political issue in modern American history, that I think Republicans violate more norms more frequently
no one's
than Democrats.
With that. Wick agrees. I agree.
I understand. That's my position. That's why I think it's kind of absurd that Wick would say that I think Democrats are perfect and Republicans are evil. But what's interesting is Wick took umbrage at this idea that I think that he just wants Democrats to roll over and accept Republican bad faith. So I'm asking for concrete, specific examples. He goes back to Harry Reid. He references Harry Reid a lot. What should Democrats have done when Mitch McConnell was blocking President Obama's nominees?
Get different nominees. No, that's unironically the truth. Do you know? Hold on. What did Trump do? Stop. What did Trump do when it became clear that Gates wasn't going to get the nominee? He dropped them and appointed someone else. And lo and behold, he's going to get an appointee.
When Gorsuch couldn't get the votes, McConnell.
Holy shit! You guys don't know what you're talking about.
Wait. What are you talking about? We don't know what we were talking about. Gates was a literal. How is this comparable at all? Gates didn't even have support for the Republicans. What are you talking about?
Correct.
Yes, and when he found out that he didn't have the support to get it through, he got someone who could be gotten through.
Are you implying that his current pick is better?
I'm implying that Harry Reid, right, or Obama at the time, when Josiah asked me that question, should have picked people that he could have gotten through. Because he didn't block every appointment.
Respectfully, do you recognize that there is a substantive qualitative difference between Harry Reid trying to find...
No, I'm gonna agree with you all the time. Yes, Republicans are worse. Yes, 100%. But that doesn't make us good.
What I'm saying is the standard you're establishing doesn't work. I agree that Harry Reid should have found nominees that were accepted by his own party, which is what you're at, which is the Gates and Trump example. All Trump needed was a simple majority of Republican senators to back Gates. 3 or 4 reportedly were hesitant to do so, and that's why Gates ultimately dropped out. But you're actually setting a higher standard for Reid.
Because this time, they had a higher standard because you could filibuster these things.
Majority.
That's why he got rid of it. Oh my God, Josiah.
Wick, I need you to chill. Do you understand that there is a qualitative difference between asking, get your own party to support your nominees, and get the other party to support your nominees?
I'm gonna stop listening to people who are always wrong, and you were just wrong on this. And I've explained why. Because again, Harry Reid had a higher bar because of how the rules work there. That's why they changed the rules so they wouldn't have that higher bar, right? And so now we live in a world without that higher bar, and so Trump has to operate under different rules. You understand?
To be clear, we all agree is a bad thing. We wish that hadn't happened.
I wish it hadn't
happened.
But it did.
Yeah.
Wasn't that during a period of time when like Democrats and Republicans were less extreme, and that the only reason that that McConnell was blocking stuff is because he wanted Obama to be a failed president, not because the nominees themselves are bad?
Yes.
He did explicitly say that, so yeah.
Right.
He explicitly said that his goal was to...
So it doesn't really matter if he would have gotten better nominees, unless they were like pure Republicans. I think it would.
I reject.
How is that striking?
No one he could have gotten.
That's striking back. That's where again I'm confused. There seems to be an incongruence here. You say you agreed with Dev. There should be a tit for tat, but then after the
we shouldn't just lie down and take it. There are things that we can do. So, for example,
the tat for Harry Reid.
For Harry Reid, that specific situation, like I said, okay, when they do that, and after we get our nominees in place, then we play hardball with theirs. Yes, absolutely. But we didn't do that. So
the tat would be pick nominees
we point out
that McConnell would approve. And then when we're in the minority, when Harry Reid was in the minority...
You don't have to get McConnell to approve it. You just have to peel off a few. Again, I'd have to look at the specifics and how much they were losing.
When I say McConnell, I'm sorry. When I say just chill. When I say McConnell, I mean the Republicans get enough Republicans to confirm Obama's appointees, and then when Harry Reid ends up in the minority due to the Republican president, what McConnell did to Obama.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking Wick. Does that's the tact?
Sure. That is one possible tat. There are other possible tats, right? You refuse to support legislation that they want to get through that you normally would. There are 1,000 things you could do.
Well, no. Here,
if you want it to be effective, the proportional response.
If you want it to be effective, it has to be the same thing, right? So they took a Supreme Court justice from you. You got to take one from them.
Now we're going to refuse to support legislation that we don't support.
And can anybody tell me if there's even a thing that Democrats can do that would even make the Republicans seek an off-ramp, or that wouldn't just be seen as more provocation or weakness?
Yes, you can manage to force their hand by very publicly making a stint about corruption. They keep on talking. Their entire, a huge part of their campaign this time around was about the corruption of the Democratic Party. So, okay, silver platter. Here's a bunch of anti-corruption legislation. Take it or leave it. Would you look at that?
Republicans don't care about corruption. They don't care. Republicans don't give a fuck.
The Republicans in office don't. But yeah, I do think that upwards of 1.5% of the American people who didn't get vote for us this time do still care about not having corruption, actually.
You're talking about future elections. Do you know that the...
Correct! I'm talking about future elections, yes.
You know the Electoral College... You know the Electoral College is going to be shifted around or won't need the blue wall states next time?
The Electoral College is going to give a couple more votes to Florida or whatever, and therefore what we to give up and no longer.
Remember when there was an issue that everybody, especially Republicans, cared so much about. Okay, so you're saying that the anti-insider trading. The anti-insider trading. Hold on, wait. The anti-insider trading. You're saying that because Republicans care so much about that issue, that's the thing you can bully them on, right?
I'm saying that we can go on. We can have every single member of our block.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying to meet you halfway. Okay, I'm trying to meet you halfway. Okay, yes, I'm trying to meet you halfway. Okay, so let's say that we conceive of an anti. We'll assume it just applies to Congress, okay, since cabinet members probably. Sure. So if they made a bill in Congress, they could even get a fucking Republican to write the fucking bill, okay, that said no more insider trading. This is a huge issue. We want to stop it, okay? And you think Democrats could push on that issue and that Republicans would go along with it?
No, I don't think they would necessarily go along with it, but I very much want to show publicly, explicitly, very publicly, and leading into the 26th election that they're not going along with it.
Just feed them an optical loss, right?
Which is great.
Gotcha. Feed them an optical loss. I agree.
Yes, optical losses. You're saying optical loss as dismissive bullshit, but I don't know if you're aware of this. We're in the optics game.
Okay. So who? Okay. So who in the class? Okay. So what's the trap that we just walked into? Anybody? This is the bipartisan border bill. And it was written by a Republican in the Senate who's literally another Trump dig sunk. He literally is. Okay, it was supported by Republicans years earlier, and it addressed an issue that every single person, especially Republicans in the country, cared about, and it was single-handedly murdered by Trump, and there was zero consequences for it. So why the fuck would an anti-corruption bill?
Hold up. The corruption bills that I'm describing are presumably the kinds of things that we could make them. We could design those to be such that literally 80% of the normal Americans just out there in the public would support. The bipartisan bill that you're describing was not supported in terms of the actual practice of it. Number one, it was very complicated. Number two, it was not. No, it was supported by members of the Senate and members of Congress. Yes, that's true. That's different than normal people. You can literally write these kinds of bills, and they are a single page long, and they can be read on Twitter by idiots on Twitter, right? And I want them to be that simple and that dumb, right? And all it says is XYZ, very simple things. And would you look at that? The Trumpy MAGA people are not going to get on board with it, or they will. And either one of those is a great option.
I wish I had your faith. I wish I had your faith, but I remember during this last term.
What's the alternative to my faith?
I'm not.
He's not going to give you an answer. There's no alternative Josiah's providing. All he's saying is we should go hard.
No, we've already given alternatives. For instance, term limits. Here's one easy one right now. Right now. The three ethics things that Biden suggested, one of those was term limits, right? You either accept that or we do 5 more justices. Boom. Easy.
What?
Well,
so
There
President
were
Biden
three
offered.
suggestions that Biden made regarding to ethics and term limits for Supreme Court justices. That should have a bipartisan broad support. I haven't heard a real argument against it.
Put something forward that says,
and then
I want there
and if you
to
don't
be
support
term
it,
limits for the Supreme Court.
And that's your listen, and that's
listen.
Yes, that's your position. And then to bridge it with our position, we say, okay, and if you don't do this, by the way, the Supreme Court just got 5 justices wider.
Okay, we don't have the
black women.
Even if you wanted to do that, we don't have the ability to do that. So I don't know why. Like you're saying, next time
when we do have the ability to, when we do have the ability,
we should just do that.
Yeah,
we should not be trying to ramp down at all. We should be able to ramp up further in order to force their hand, in order to make it even worse and even more dire of a situation that we're currently at. But also, you definitely don't want there to be a civil war. And also, like, the Tim Pools of the world are fucking crazy to think that there might be a civil war in the future.
Wick, you're still very upset for some reason.
Yes.
What have I said?
Because
what have I said in the past 50 minutes to
my
trigger
whole
you so much?
again? Yes, I am mad because this was a winnable election, but we lost it in large part because of the attitudes that you advocate for.
Into the future.
Into the future. What do you mean?
No, he's memeing.
What do you mean? What? I'm not memeing. Excuse me.
No, what do you
Hunter
mean? What do you mean? Not memeing. What do you mean?
Hunter was pardoned after the election, so they went into the future.
I'm
to get
okay with them. I'm not
the election. Okay, it's because the future pardoned Hunter Biden. Okay.
Shit, I have mixed feelings on that. I have no strong opinions either way. Right? Fair enough.
Stephen,
okay.
Wick isn't
but
pissed
we're not
at you.
Talking about
He's pissed at me. I'm looking.
No,
for,
I'm mad at Destiny a little bit. Right?
Yeah, you're mad at me too.
Maybe I can get him mad at me before we're done.
I'm going to be mad. I'm mad at all of you. Okay,
what attitude?
Everyone's in chat. Everything.
What attitude?
Again, the attitude of when we just have to stop being nice. We just have to keep going at them. We got to go hard. We got to pack the course. We got to, Republicans have do all wrong. We do, everything we do, we shouldn't talk about, right? One of the things that Clinton, let's go back all the way to Clinton. One of the biggest things he did that won him the election in 92 was he had what's called a sister soldier moment. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
Yes. The sister soldier moment for the chat is where he publicly, vociferously denounced people on his side, right? Sister Soldier was an artist at the time who made some really racist comments, okay? He called that shit out. And again, he did it in a left-leaning space. I think at some kind of Rainbow Coalition thing. I forget the details, right? But he went out and he looked at it and he looked at the left and he ran against the extremists on the left. He ran against the left. That worked for him. I think we are in a state politically now where that's what we need to do.
What would the
that's what we need to do.
Moment would be?
Just imagine this.
Okay,
Imagine this.
I'm with you.
Okay. I'm going to walk you through it. Give me a moment.
I'm with you.
So Kamala Harris goes on Hassan's stream. Okay, goes on Hassan's stream. He would accept it. They would sit down. Okay, they have a talk. They start talking, and then she turns to him and says, "You're an anti-Semite. We want nothing to do with you. You were a disgrace to this party and the people like you." And
holy fuck,
400 EVs easy. Okay, 400 EVs easy. You pick them out. They weren't voting for you anyway. It's an easy sacrifice. You pick someone out, and because a lot of people, all they wanted to hear, and they didn't feel they heard it. They wanted to hear that Kamala was willing to stand up against the extremists on her own side. That's what they wanted, and they didn't feel they got it.
Also, why is this Clinton sisterhood thing? Does this even fucking matter?
Sister Soldier. Yeah, it was credited at least in part, right? There were other factors, obviously. It's never one factor. This is a part.
No, but not one factor. There was wasn't there a big recession right before Clinton? Wasn't that when Perot won
it was when Perot again, but it was still a factor. It's like you can always point to the bigger things. Like you can point to inflation this time.
No, it's not that I'm pointing towards the bigger things. I'm saying that like if I've got a patient in a room and I play a happy song and give them chemotherapy, I'm probably not going to use both of these in the same breath when describing why they recovered from their cancer. Okay, pretty sure Ross Perot was considered one of the largest spoiler candidates in all of U.S. history. Am I wrong on that?
That's fair.
Yeah, he was a spoiler candidate, but again,
you got like 20%. Yeah.
I'm curious. Again, like speaking of legal options Democrats could pursue, right? Of the two things that you just listed, right, packing the courts and term limits, one of those just requires congressional action. One of those requires a constitutional amendment. And so I'm wondering why we would try to sort of package these together, or even an ethics standard, right? An enforceable ethics standards, as far as I understand, could just be like, Congress is going to pass something that says, under these conditions, this is when we would impeach you. Like, that's something that, if you wanted it to be binding, it would have to be a constitutional amendment. But if you wanted to at least have the force of law, it would just require legislation. So I'm curious tactically about why we sometimes package these things that are, like, to me, far-reaching, like constitutional amendment, with things that are like, well, this is something that, yeah, if you just had the political will and you have a majority in both houses and you're willing to get rid of the filibuster, you can do whatever you want. All right.
Do you need an amendment to add more justices?
No, you just need legislation, right? So a term limits would be an amendment, though, because federal justices are
Sheldon Whitehouse. When I interviewed him, he said that the workaround.
Oh, when I interviewed renowned congressional constitutional Whitehouse, excuse me,
excuse me, fucking professor with a 9 tweed jacket. Okay,
I'm sorry. When what did Professor
Whitehouse? What Whitehouse proposed was basically not removing justices after a certain term, but basically cycling them out and putting them basically on because Congress controls through federal statute jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, and so he would basically remove them from jurisdictions in terms of constitutional interpretation and put them on a separate version of the Supreme Court. They would not be able to hear these cases; they would be able to hear these cases instead. And then the ethics, the binding code of ethics, I don't think that would require a constitutional amendment either, because what they're proposing is that the judiciary would have its own enforcement mechanism. The Congress would simply say, you are required to have one. You are required to have a fact-finding mechanism. You would be required to have an inspector general. You would have to, this, and this. Now I think
I love both of those. They just feel so opaque to me that I don't know that you can get traction.
Well, you would. They wrote it out. They wrote it out like this is in text. I'm just paraphrasing.
No, I know. In the same sense though, with Quibble's thing, right, about the anti-corruption thing, I think the problem we're running into now, like the bipartisan border bill, is all you need is the Trumpy people to say, well, here's this part of the bill we don't like, and here's why it's bad, and no one will read the bill and they just agree, right? I don't care how much you simplify it. All you need optically is for Trump to say it was a bad bill. He just says over and over again it was a bad bill, right?
Why don't you just bribe somebody to go tell
them? No, I'm saying make a bunch of bills. Put out a new bill every day between now and 2026. Okay. Every single day.
I don't know. Are you aware? I can't tell if you're aware of this. I don't know if this is like an elaborate troll. Like Pelosi did this, right? That Pelosi's house passed more legislation than any house in the history of the entire United States. I don't think the American people know about this or care about this.
I'm saying while we're in the minority, we should be going over and over and over. And every single day, there should be marching orders, and every single member of Congress should be like, okay, this is the bill that we're putting forward today. And it's a very simple, all it does is like this very simple thing that we can all get on board with.
And then the next day, Green New Deal and shit, and nobody cared or nobody.
Green New Deal was not one very simple thing that everyone could get on board with at all. It was a very complicated and very controversial deal.
What is the simple thing that would be? What exactly is the simple thing that we're suggesting?
No trades. No for people.
Yeah, no trades. Should I just list them? I can list them.
Nobody in your family can trade either, or
yeah. Let's
I think I got links turned off. Hold on.
Receiving public money for 10 years after leaving Congress. Let's ban on working for companies that have publicly endorsed you, which is like news.
Okay, hold on. Wait, those are so you're talking about. Wait. You're talking about huge changes right there. Those were huge changes.
Okay, but they'd be overwhelmingly supported by the American people, whether they be supported by Congress or no.
If they'd be overwhelmingly supported by the American people, why has nobody just suggested these yet? Why don't we have them?
Trump authorize 5 years for that?
Okay, so a lot of times the reasons hold on, no, because this is important. I'll take it. Yeah. This is important. A lot of the reasons times we don't get some of the legislation that polls popularly, right? But we don't seem to ever pass except for on like direct ballot initiatives is because things get politicized. If there's a D next to it or an R next to it, it tends to become partisan. But these same issues often, when they're used as direct ballot initiatives, when there's not a D or an R next to the name, they pass fine.
Well,
right?
they're also procedural bodies.
So get rid of all of
like
oh, sure, yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
The Senate Majority Leader, like the Senate Majority Leader, could just simply refuse to bring a particular bill to the floor, things like that. So listen, I'm not sure where the
then start a protest outside of his office. What, are we just like no longer capable of like doing anything in terms of like public rhetoric?
No, I don't.
Clearly not. If our solution to the problems is we need to pass an anti-insider trading bill to fix the fact that we have a literal fucking insurrectionist as the president again. I mean,
that's the solution. When I say individual things that we do for a week, that we focus on for a week, I'm not saying that we can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm not saying that we're like no longer focusing on anything else. I'm saying every week we can throw out, here's another one, ban on having Secret Service pay to lodge at the domicile of those that they're protecting, right? A very clearly, specifically against Trump kind of a situation as he's done that repeatedly, right? That is a very clear thing that the overwhelming majority of the American people, including MAGA voters, would probably be on board with.
Listen, I'm not going to pick a fight with you on this because I think that the only thing you can do in the minority is to virtue signal the way that you're talking about. That you have to try to make noise because that's the only thing right now Democrats will be able to do for the next 2 years. Wait a minute.
Not just noise. Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be condescending. That's me paraphrasing.
No. I didn't mean it as condescending.
Right, but I don't understand what
noise. Yeah.
I just don't understand what this means in terms of the ratchet down thing. That's what I thought the conversation was about.
I'm saying it's not just noise in as much as like when we put something forward about abortion or about healthcare that's obviously going to get thrown down, that is noise in as much as like that's something that no one in the general public expects our abortion bill or our healthcare bill to actually get forward. Whereas these kinds of things are designed explicitly such that they are things that are
like
clearly anti-corruption and are not progressive by any stretch of the imagination or conservative by any stretch of the imagination, that are just strictly anti-corruption. And that's the only purpose of the bill, to be anti-corruption. And so if the only goal is that, then putting it forward, even under a conservative agenda, is something that conceptually it's very difficult for Congress people to be able to push against, even if it has a D next to it, because you can look at the entire bill on Twitter and be like, "Hey, it's only a page. I read it."
Well, the only thing is that the minority party can't force votes on things. That's the only thing. That's why I say making noise. So if you're in the minority, it's the Senate Majority Leader in the Senate which dictates what bills. Like a senator can't just bring a bill to the floor. The Majority Leader has to be the one.
Yeah, I'm not saying we can get votes on it. I'm saying that what we can do, even if we don't get a vote on it, is we can manage to bring it forward. We can talk about it on the floor because we do have the ability to talk on the floor, right? We can demand that it be discussed.
That's why I said make noise. Listen, I know you're getting pushback.
My point about the noise differential is like there's noise that's about things that everyone understands has nothing to do with the ability to pass legislation, and there's stuff like this which is by its nature different than something like immigration, where there is actual controversy, there's actual disagreement in terms of the rank and file of progressives and the rank and file of conservatives.
Yeah, I understand. You're talking about again a messaging blitz involving proposed legislation for relatively non-controversial things. That's probably the only thing that a minority party can do in this situation. I don't deny it. I didn't see the ratcheting down of like, the constant escalation.
What you're focusing on.
Yeah, I don't see the connection.
You're not focusing on it's not about focusing on things that have to do with, even if they're bipartisan, matters of infrastructure. It's specifically focusing in terms of the ratcheting down effect on stuff that is anti-corruption and that will disproportionately likely affect Republicans, which is why they might vote against it, because Republicans happen to be at this particular moment in American history significantly more corrupt.
I'll just say this because it's like, okay, it's 1 a.m. I gotta sleep. I am an old man.
You can. I think the others are streaming, right?
Yeah, I know that's fine. I just want to say this before I go. Is what I'm saying, right? I want to give like a kind of a closing spiel, right? Is like I want to win. I don't want to lose. I think the path to victory. We can look at it, and we can look at how Obama won, how Clinton won, right? How Biden won in his first term. We could use lessons from like what worked before, and we can at least apply it a little to what we do in the future. And I would like to live in a world where Republicans don't have power at all, right? I want to be in a world where Democrats control the House, Democrats control the Senate, Democrats control the presidency. That would be a great world. I think that my way gets us there closer than I think that Josiah's way. that's harder to do, but fair enough. I'll say this: I love you guys, and we will fight about this again. I got some shows coming up on Thursday. Well, tomorrow I'm just gonna do call-ins because I'm tired. But Thursday, I'm gonna be having a show on the deportation plan by Trump, and that should be a fun show. And whether that is good or not, yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Listen,
okay?
I hope for your call-in show, and you're in a better fucking mood, man. You just.
Do you think I'm in a bad mood?
God,
I have made.
This is why Wick doesn't stream.
I have made so much money tonight. So first of all, thank you to Biden. Thank you to Biden.
I come in and I say hi, and Wick's like, "You fucking hyper partisan."
Look, I was busy. Look, Destiny got me pumped up.
So when you say hi to people, you're only saying hi to the fucking Democrats. You're saying die to the Republicans.
Messiah wants to escalate to a nuclear war. Okay,
you're like, God damn, Wick, catching strays, pent up rage towards. I'm sure
you love the abuse. Okay, and anyway. But yeah, it's I've made so thank you to Biden for pardoning Hunter. Like, I don't know if it was good for our country, but it was great for my wallet. Thank you again.
Your wallet is nearly as girthy as.
I'll see you guys later.
No, don't make that.
Don't make the joke. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Okay, because it's like 1 a.m.
2 o'clock in
I
the
love
morning,
you
but not
all.
1 o'clock.
Destiny, thanks for putting up with me for this, but this was fun. Okay, bye.
Always so much fun.
Okay, gang. I'm gonna end the stream because I'm done. I've got to sleep.